Hello, welcome to Symbaroum. This is a TTRPG system and setting created by Järnringen. This is kind of a gothic medieval fantasy kind of spooky shit in the wendigos and witches and elves that steal babies and replace them with other things called changelings. It's a great thing. We are playing a game called Ambria and Davokar, which is going to be dungeon mastered by my friend Obdurant. Why don't you take the floor?
All right, thank you, Stella, and welcome to Symbaroum. Our story today is going to begin in the town of Castor, which is in the Järnringen region. And just to introduce our party real quick, we have Jerax playing Kory, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Who, as it happens, is a member of a minor noble house of the Järnringen region, which is why they are in Castor. And why don't you introduce her?
Kory is the youngest and only daughter of House Kory, and on her quest to bring honor and a good name to her family line, she has become a knight errant, journeying around Symbaroum with her two companions in a quest to do good and honor.
Excellent. And Dane, as one of the two companions that Kory has gathered, why don't you introduce yourself?
Dane is a barbarian of the Obdurant tribe, and he is something of a witch, perhaps, but seems to follow his own philosophy. He's big, loud, and brash. He is the brother to Meira, I believe, which is Stella's character.
All right, and why don't we hear about her as well?
Okay. Meira is the changeling sibling of Dane here. So originally, Meira was thought to be not a changeling, thought to be the blood sibling of Dane here. But once Meira got to the age, she began to show signs that she was actually planted there by an elf for whatever mysterious, spooky reason that they do that. And she was outcasted and unwanted, as many changelings are often finding their story to unravel as. And she is one of the influence of the outdoors. She has found that she has significant prowess in marksman skills, and she is kind of spooky. She had a hard childhood, and out of that childhood there's only one thing that came out of it that's worth any good, and it is her relationship with her brother Dane. Though they are not actual literal blood siblings, Meira trusts him and only him, and for whatever reason Dane has come to the service of Kory, perhaps a means to an end, and Meira will be there to help Dane, no matter what the consequences.
I have a small question for you, Stella.
Yes.
Is this her given name, or is it one she chose, as some changelings do?
So she was given Meira as her birth name, and she has decided to keep it. She is probably in the works of trying to decide a new name. She definitely does not like the burden of this false identity that was thrust upon her, especially since that is not who she is. She's an imposter.
She doesn't like living someone else's life.
Exactly. And she's trying to figure out and test a few different names, perhaps, but Meira it is for now.
All right, the quest to find Stella a name.
Yes!
The quest to find Stella a name. So, for quite a while, Kory was a knight in training, and that training usually seemed to take a form of anything that would keep her away from everyone else, because her father, simply put, doesn't want her to be revealed. He's a fair sight better than most Ambrians in the sense that he hasn't just kicked her out of the household, but the fact that she's a changeling is problematic, to the point that not even her mother knows that she's a changeling, right?
Nope, she certainly does not.
And for the past several weeks, maybe even months, you've been left to do pretty much as you will. And you have had rooms in Castor, which is sort of really the largest city in Saragon, you could say, and it's where Duke Gadrame, I think is his name, has his seat of power. And there are clear efforts to sort of establish the city as a base for excursions into Davokar, but they aren't very successful. Thistlehold is sort of incomparable by that extent. And one day, whenever you come back from what you've gotten yourself into and you return to this inn where you've been staying for a while and staying comfortably and on your father's dime, you probably return sometime in the afternoon. You haven't been out like for a crazy amount of time, but when you get there, the innkeep apologizes and says, like, you can't stay here anymore. But your father has left a parcel that he asked me to deliver to you. And when you take the parcel and open it up, it mainly holds a letter and just a couple other things. The letter reads, "Daughter," this is your father's voice, "one day House Bory will pass to you. Due to your nature, it is imperative that you ensure the house does not pass from you soon after. There are many that covet what I have, and should your nature come to light, you may lose any claim to my holdings. Before any of this comes to pass, you must forge for yourself a reputation that keeps you beyond reproach, no matter what rumors may follow you. Go to Thistlehold. It is time for you to bring House Bory renown. I've enclosed 50 thaler and 3 signet rings in this letter for you and your 2 companions. It is up to you to determine how to set out from the hold and how to establish yourself as a famous name in Ambria. If you need to, a man named Rivald should dwell in the Fortune Hunters district. He fought against the Dark Lords in Albator under my house and should be willing to offer advice." And that's it. There are no more goodbyes. It's not even signed, but it is clearly his handwriting. And there are 50 thaler in the letter that you pocket. And there are 3 signet rings. They're silver rings, and you've probably never been to Thistlehold, but everyone has heard of Thistlehold and that fact that to get through the gates, you need a signet ring of a various type of metal, depending on your status. And this basically entitles you to dwell in the city for as long as you like. And as long as you...
the vagabond ring, my favorite.
The vagabond ring?
Yeah, it lets you just lounge around.
Well, it lets you inside the walls, but it doesn't give you a house. So the lounging might be up to you.
All right.
But that's the start of your adventure. So you're in Castor, which I'm pinging right now just in case you don't know where it is. And Thistlehold is over this way. So it's up to you 3 to get there. You could take the traveled road, which would lead you to Temple Wall and then up to Thistlehold. That would be about 4 days of travel. Or you could just cut straight across. It's relatively easy land. It does border Davokar, which is a little foreboding. But you do know there is at least one inn along the way, which have just sort of sprouted up around interesting spots. So even if they aren't on the road, they do see some traffic, and it would be a little faster.
How much faster would it be?
How much faster? It would take basically 2 days, just one night out traveling to get there direct.
Picome is gonna take a candle and burn the letter.
Okay. So the innkeep, after passing you the stuff, sort of backed away, and he's just sort of minding the shop. And it's quiet. It's the middle of the day, and people generally have better things to do. or better places to eat, because this place is, it's fancy, but it's not exactly known for its kitchens. He kind of looks up and studies you as you burn the letter, but he certainly doesn't interfere. And when it looks like you're not going to be burning anything more than the letter, he just kind of goes back to minding his own business.
I will give him 3 thaler and tell him my gratitude for delivering this parcel.
Okay, yeah, that's quite a bit of money. So
Yes,
he takes it and he is extremely grateful. He goes, "Oh, thank you, sir, thank you," and he'll back away a little bit, and then he'll just say like, you're welcome here anytime that you can pay for it."
I would like to ask him if he's heard about any trouble on either of the 2 paths, like the straight path and the long path.
Well, he scratches his head and he goes like, "Oh, well, news doesn't always find its way to me, but I think a trip along the edge of the Davokar forest is always going to have trouble. Don't you know? That's why fortune hunters are so famous, aren't they? Things of the forest don't necessarily stay in the forest, as I always like to say. But Temple Wall is quiet. As long as you aren't an apostate, sir. I did hear there were some black cloaks on patrol, and they rooted out a cultist sect that had found its way into the city. But aside from that, it's an upstanding place, sir. I don't think I think you'd be fine. For
Pekome tilts her helmet forward in acknowledgement, and then goes to relay the information to her companions.
Okay.
I think Meira is outside the inn, and she's crouched down in the dirt, and she's sort of stabbing the dirt with a stick. She's just kind of burrowing one end of this stick just into the ground for no apparent reason. And Meira is wearing a cloak, and she has a cowl and a hood drawn, so most of her face is hidden. She is wearing mostly brown clothing, and she has a very nondescript sort of appearance. She is about 5'3", so she's kind of small.
Tiny,
small change.
On the other hand, Pekome is just a little over 6 foot, so put them next to each other, there is a pretty big size difference.
And Pekome's, if I'm getting this right, she's just sort of always wearing her helmet to hide herself, basically. In the direst of situations where she could not wear armor, she would be in a full hood. A full hood, okay. But generally, she's just like, even if it's a little odd, just in full armor.
Yep.
Always ready. Okay, great.
What time is it?
It's about midday. The sun's a little
Lunchtime.
past. It's like 2.
Lunchtime.
Yeah, it's lunchtime. Or
It
just
doesn't
after.
matter that the place is, not the fanciest of places.
Mm-hmm.
Dane he's still eating.
Food is food.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
What
So
does,
Dane is eating.
what does
Meira
Dane look like as Pekome?
Oh, that's a great question.
So, Dane isn't armored as a rule, at least for the moment. He spends more of his time just in at least comfortable travel clothing. The most he'll do is attach little just scraps of vellum to his clothing that are kind of artistically decorated with pictures of him not getting hit with attacks. So, kind of his own witch robe, but, not actually good at protecting you. But,
Fashion over form.
And he's big. He's a big guy. He's broad, and he's tall, and he's almost always eating.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's what he's doing while the ground is being dug into.
Okay. So, Pekome, you as the de facto leader of the group, seeing that you were paying both of these fine barbarians. What's the plan?
Well, first I'm going to gather the sister over to her engorging brother, and then discuss the two options.
Okay.
Putting emphasis on the fact that they are looking for apostates over in Temple Wall.
Can I ask if this map is accurate?
The one we're looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's accurate. You
Okay.
could say roughly to scale.
We don't actually have to go through Temple Wall. Even if we take the road, and it would actually be kind of quicker. So there's kind of 3 paths, you know? Because if you see, the road branches off up there.
I think there's nothing wrong in going close to Davokar. I could lead the way, save us a day or two.
I'm never worried about a run-in with a creature or two, but it definitely would be the more dangerous of the options. You would have to be able to hold your own in a fight.
Think of it this way, Dane. We could hunt something, and you could have a fine meal. Some venison, maybe.
That's true. Could get some food along the way. Yeah. That's true.
He says while he's like chewing through, thinking about more food.
Yes.
All right. Pekome pulls out a map and shows the 2 locations. Point to the route either of you favor.
Meira will point at the path that is not through Temple Wall and not Temple Wall adjacent.
The straight line.
With her stick. She smears some dirt on the map.
Dane just vaguely points at the map.
Oh. Along Davokar it is. Pekome wipes off the dirt and then rolls up the map.
All right. So you decide to head out straight along the lowlands, just lying right outside of Davokar. And do you take off pretty much after this conversation? Do you do anything else in town first?
I will make sure I have arrows. Maybe a surplus of arrows if we're going to be hunting. So, when I was making my character, I had some trouble finding the arrows.
1 thaler for 10 is, I think, what we came with.
Yes, which makes arrows really expensive for some reason.
Well, to be fair, I think you can just also have a sling, as those seem to be free.
Yeah, that's fair.
And sling bullets / rocks seem to be.
Before, as everyone starts to get their last-minute prep, Pekome will give both of them, for the moment, 5 thaler.
Okay.
Thank you. Good.
For
So everyone does start with 5. So Kory and Stella will both be at 10. V, you're down to 37, I think, at this point.
So
we started
at 5, gave me 50, gave away 3, so it'd be 52, gave away 10, so 42.
1 moment. Let me.
What?
He gave 3 to the barkeep.
Yeah. Oh, I just set your thaler before the session at 50.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that added with the 5 then?
It was to replace the 5. So
okay.
the privileged background for being in a noble house starts you at 50 instead of 5. So I just gave you that benefit without the social because you're a change.
So okay.
Yes.
I shall go buy 20 arrows. That will cost me 2 thaler.
Okay, so you've got 20 arrows. Fantastic. That sounds great. Anything else you want to do?
Dane's gonna
anyone
get
wants
some
to.
actual witch robes if we're gonna be rolling in the cash.
Rolling.
Okay. All right. So
I just imagine him like talking up his robes this whole time, and then he finally gets handed money, and he goes and immediately buys new robes.
Yeah, he can tear off the little stitchings and put them on the new ones. So
Yeah.
All right. So you set out from Castor, and it's essentially a 2-day trip, but we'll only have one daytime adventure roll for traveling along Davokar, just because it's essentially a day's travel and a night. It's just
What is
you're
this?
not
The
gonna be
one
finished.
thing? Ooh, travel rolls.
Oh yeah, yeah, we did have that, didn't we?
Yeah, I was very
so-
worried we were gonna try and use this river.
You could use the river if you wanted to. You could always contract a bargeman.
I mean,
If we were going to Malima, that would be worth it.
even like if we had to save every hour we could, it would be worth it, and we could get there like overnight or something. But
Meira does not like water.
Clearly.
So go ahead and roll 1d20v.
Meira said she was gonna lead us.
I
Okay.
shall lead them through
Meira.
the dark.
She said she was gonna guide us since we were going close to Davokar.
I rolled
Alright.
a 19
Nice.
gem.
You rolled a 19. Oh wow. Okay. All right. Just give
I
me a
am
sec to
full
look
of
something up.
confidence. Oh wait, is this supposed to be lower rolls or better?
So in this particular context,
So how it normally
It
is
doesn't-
is
lower
you
rolls
want to
are worth
land.
just-
so
Normally you wanna land
generally
under the
speaking,
mark?
a low roll is a good one. So it wouldn't fill you with confidence. However, in this particular case, because you're sometimes you'll roll onto a table, like an encounter table, for example, and then it's just entries. It's not necessarily.
This isn't a test so much as what's gonna happen.
Although, actually, now that I'm looking at it, it is sort of
Oh, so was that
graded
really
by
bad?
level. But before even that,
Uh-oh. We've been mugged already.
go ahead and roll for your discreet, and it should say disadvantage, opponent disadvantage. So in this case, just set it to 1, so it'll be a discreet +1 test. Okay, all right, this is fantastic. We did those rolls in the opposite order, but as it turns out, this is interesting. You guys set out from Castor, and you follow this spur of the river Enor. And as you get up near Davokar, Pekome, I don't believe you've ever been in the Davokar forest. It's just this sort of looming presence.
Well, we kind of had this bit of backstory where he aided our tribe, and that's where
was
showed
that
up.
up in Odiova?
Yeah.
The Lindworm clan? Okay, that's a great point. Okay, so you have been in Davokar, but it's certainly not familiar to you.
Not really a fan of all the trees.
That is, in large part, what the forest is made up of. In fact, and there are a lot of trees, and they look like a lot of trees as you're hiking your way along in Meira's tracks. And there's a sort of a sense of unease that you feel, and that Thane feels, and that Meira feels. And as you go on, things are uneventful for the most part, and you make good time because the terrain is nice. It's not raining. It's not even misty. Just things seem fine, but they don't feel fine. And this sort of unease builds as the evening begins to set in, as the shadows get longer. And just before dusk, almost to the point where you're thinking of turning in for the night, maybe setting up camp or trying to find some habited place to settle down with some other people, there's a disturbing sort of noise in the woods. Excuse me. And I'm going to pause in the narrative for half a second to pull up this sheep lost. Where are you? Fuck.
As we're traveling,
Yeah.
Pekome, do you look like you are able to keep up? Are you used to the wilderness? What kind of exposure has Pekome had to the unmarked road, so to speak?
She tends to avoid pretty much anything wilderness related. She almost seems like disgusted with it. But so she'll get, especially moving around in armor, she gets caught up on a lot of stuff. Occasionally a few not kind words said about the forest.
In contrast, how comfortable and normal is this experience for the barbarians?
I think the easier thing about this is that with the Oda Iova tribe, they're supposed to have like their main village over here at this kind of
Yeah, because they cover
yeah.
the grounds between Karvosti and Thistlehold.
Yeah, and specifically like their main settlement is about a day's travel south of Karvosti, so like they're, I think, mostly used to having a river nearby and like the woods to one side and safety to the other. Even if they kind of did live in Davokar, you know, they've got this kind of, you know, there's safety nearby at least. So, you know, it's at least this, you know, they're not actually in Davokar. They can kind of, this is better than the life they grew up with, I'd say.
Yeah.
This is like the back of Meira's hand. This is child's play. The fringe of Davokar is nothing like the thick of Davokar.
However, much of Davokar is too much.
Right.
We can see this.
Yes. So I uploaded the encounters just so you can see the table that you were rolling against.
Okay.
You'll see that 19 is a necromage.
Okay.
That sounds horrible.
So yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I'm looking up. Yeah, go for it.
I appreciate how, like, this is the second worst option. The worst is two enemies.
Yeah. No, I was in the middle of saying that. I was like, oh, well, you're just rolling against a table, so a high number isn't bad, until I was like, necromage sounds really bad. What's 20? And 20 was just like, take 2. And I was like, wow. Never mind.
Oh my gosh.
Sure, we could have had double necromage, Stella, so good job.
And in fact, 20 is actually better because
we could get 2
potentially save one of them.
Yeah,
we
it could
save
be
some clan warriors from a rage troll.
or it could be a necromage like fighting big brigands.
Yeah. In which case, we save the brigands?
Yeah, it is totally possible that you encounter something that isn't hostile, or that are
Or normally would be
another.
hostile, but now has reason not to be.
Yeah. But in this case, you encounter a necromage. So towards the evening, you hear this sound, and it sounds horrible. It's a keening. It's a high-pitched keening, and it raises the hair on your skin if you have hair on your skin.
Dane has lots.
Dane has lots, and all of it is standing up right now. And then there's this scuffling sound from the woods. And a man just breaks out of the foliage, and he's nearly 6 feet tall. He has dark hair, and the hair is very straggly right now. He's covered in sweat and leathers, and he bears the crest of the Queen's He bears the crest of the Queen's Raiders on his shoulder, and he almost doesn't see you at first because he's looking over his shoulder. He's stumbling. He looks exhausted. He has a broken bow in one hand. And when he does take stock of you guys, he stops and he goes, "Oh, God's prayers defend us! Run for your lives!" And then this sort of ethereal wisp-like thing just stretches out from the woods that he's been running from. And it wraps around the man, and he stiffens unnaturally, and the color drains from his face. And a moment later, he falls to his knees, and then he pitches forward, and it's clear he isn't breathing anymore. And there's a scuffling again from the woods, but it's much slower. And you have a moment or two to react to this as a shape begins to appear in the woods, kind of stumbles in a very uneven gait up to the edge of the woods and then beyond. And it's a woman with red hair, and she's very clearly dead. You can see partially through her, as if she isn't fully substantial. And she has rot on one cheek and her eyes are milky, but it's very clear that she's aware of you, and it's very clear that she's coming for you. And that's where we are. So I'm going to figure out how to get an initiative track up on here. And by I'm going to figure out, I mean I'm going to... Stella, how do I do that?
You push the button on the left, and there's a... I can't see it on my screen, but it's one of the buttons. Just hover over it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It should be the timer looking one.
Timer. Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
It didn't have a name, so I didn't think of it. Fantastic.
We need tokens to use that, don't we?
So,
Either
Do you-
that or
He can just manually add us.
yeah.
yeah, can I just manually... Okay, I was just going to do that because there isn't necessarily going to be a map for this encounter.
Mm-hmm. So what
Is
would I
initiative
need to
just
do?
quick?
Oh,
There. There. So now there's tokens at the bottom.
okay. So if you guys... I don't... Right-click a token and choose add a turn.
Yep. So you
Add
can
a
just
turn.
right-click them.
Excellent. Wow, that is so rad. Dane, what's your quick?
5.
All right, that's a 4. It's not that bad. It's just bad. Add a turn. Meira, what's your quick?
11.
Great. And your quick? Hey, Kome? Say that again?
13.
13. Okay. And our friend, the necromage. It's also 13. I think, yes. So, what is your vigilant, Pekome?
10.
Okay, roll a 1d10 20.
Uh-oh.
Okay, you'll go first, and the necromage will go second.
Whew, thank God for flipped rolls.
Yeah, right? That is the saving grace right there. Okay, so you are going to start off combat. There is a little handout called Quick Combat and Death Saves. The second part might be especially relevant this fight. If you need to figure out any...
Do any of us have a quote-unquote long weapon?
I have a quarterstaff, but I don't think I'm gonna use it. Also, I don't know that this character is in, contact either, just yet.
Okay.
So there's no distance, it's moving into X range, right?
Right. There are instances in which we will use battle maps, but movement isn't very hard coded in this system. It's not like you can only move 30 feet. But yeah, so right now you are not in melee range of her. You can move into melee if you like.
Seeing the red-headed abomination coming out of the woods, Pekome unhooks the small metal kite shield bearing her family crest from her back and unsheaths her sword. And then she will go to move into melee range, saying, "My life was not made to run away."
Okay. Sounds good. So you drew your weapons and you moved into range. Those were your actions for the turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is movement only... Do I only get one movement?
So during a turn, you can take a movement action and a combat action, or 2 movement actions. I think it's... I'm going to say that it would be plausible that Pekome drew her weapons before this phase. So let's just say you took a movement action to get in range of the thing, and you still have your combat action.
Okay. So then I can attack.
Yes, you absolutely can. Now you're going to attack with accurate. Do you have anything that changes that?
I use strong.
Okay, so attack with strong, and the necromage has a -3, so that's a -3 to your roll, so it's more difficult to hit her.
So enemy disadvantage -3.
Correct. Is that a hit?
It says success.
Excellent, good work. Yeah, my thingamabob wasn't scrolled, so I had to look down. Okay, so you do successfully hit her. She has spirit form 3. So what does this mean? Passive mystical powers. And okay, so you swing your sword. You get up there. You say, "My life was not made for running away," and you draw your very ordinary steel sword and slash violently through the spirit. And it is completely unaffected. She
wonderful.
does not appear to have even really noticed. Her head kind of tilts, and she stares at you with this blind, baleful look, and doesn't appear any the worse for wear.
Well, I accomplished a lot.
So, oh god. All right, so she's going to stay in range with you because you're there. Okay, let's see. Okay, yes, she's going to attack you. So go ahead and roll me your defense. Just neutral, no modifications to it. Beyond your normal ones, I mean.
I have negated 8 damage.
Okay.
It
So
hit, but I negated 8.
But the enemy hits. Unfortunately, you are going to take 5 resolute damage. So 5 damage to your resolute, rather than anything normal. It ignores armor. So, I'm just gonna say, from an out-of-character perspective...
Run?
I know you said you're not made to run away, but I really think that might be the best idea here. You're welcome to continue fighting this thing. When it's Kory's turn, you might even damage it. But even if Kory has mystical damage, which I'm not sure that he does...
I don't think I do.
It would only do half damage.
Oh my god. Did
So
you get us like a boss for the first encounter?
I didn't get you anything, okay? Stella got you.
I don't know what mystical damage is, but I have a mystical ability that is damaging using normal means.
Okay. So Yeah, it says only mystical powers and magical weapons are harmful, so I would say that is still damage. When it
Okay.
says damage by normal means, it just means it damages health rather than an alternative
Okay.
stat. So I'm just gonna move your sheet to the character page for you real quick. Okay, so you have 10 resolute normally, you have 5 resolute right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So what does that look like?
Yes.
It drains his will to live and fight, I assume?
So she leans forward and she sweeps a hand towards you. And it's not even a very violent motion, but it is something that you're not quite able to protect against. Namely, because you have a lot of honed instincts from your time training, and you lift your shield to ward off the blow, and her arm passes right through it. And as you get a very close-up look at her face, or her hand rather, as it's coming towards your face, you notice that her fingers aren't really fingers anymore. They're gnarled, twisted appendages that look halfway between claws or tendrils from the vines of a tree or something like that. And as they touch your cheek, you feel cold sort of passing through your body, and it's really difficult for your companions to see what's happening because you're covered in a suit of armor. But the point where she touches loses its color as it loses its warmth, and you just feel like the life is being drawn from you, because it is.
Wow.
Solid.
That's terrifying.
Well, it's your guys' turn.
Yes, it is. It is now Meira's turn.
Brother, I do not remember seeing one of these in Davokar. I don't know what we should do here other than run. And she starts running.
Perfect. Okay, Meira is booking it.
Just ditched.
Now it's Dane's turn.
Dane's not just going to immediately book it.
Okay.
So first he's gonna
Failure.
he's gonna cajole at his quiver.
Okay.
And what happens if I do I get corruption if I fail a mystical power?
I believe if you would incur corruption, you incur it anyway. You like, because you're trying it.
Yeah.
The forest, like the corruption does touch you. It just doesn't result in anything. I don't know for 100% though. That's just what I feel like I remember.
Yeah. Okay, well we'll do this while I figure that out. Okay. And then Dane's going to start backing up while yelling to Pekome to run.
Oh, of course, because you are doing it. You've used the power. It's just you don't actually hit her. You miss. That's
no, because that's different.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So in this, how this works is if I had succeeded, I would have just magically told 5 arrows to get up and hang out with me. And I don't ever make attack rolls for those arrows. I hit.
Okay.
Tell those arrows they hit someone. And
right,
like,
and they do, because that's
gotcha. That makes sense.
Did you just go up 3 points in corruption?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this would be temporary corruption, right?
Yeah, it would be temporary corruption.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just until the end of the scene, so...
We can figure that out, but I do think you probably got corrupted off of that, but I'm not. So that's the end of your turn. Or, sorry, that was your action, your combat action.
Yeah.
Are you running away with the movement action?
Yep. Just, making my way out.
Good idea. So it's around to Pekome's turn, and this is the real clincher here.
So I look back and the other two have fucking bolted.
Right. They sure have.
And my blade did nothing and my armor did nothing.
Absolutely nothing, yes.
Pekome is going to swear violently, call the other two cowards, and bolt after them.
Okay, great. So you are not running away, but chasing after your insubordinate followers to teach them what it is to be a warrior.
Yes.
Unfortunately, running away does incur a free attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're going to have to see how that pans out. Go ahead and roll your defense again. Okay. This time, for some inexplicable reason, you only take 4 resolute damage.
Oh, wonderful.
So you're at 1 instead of being dead.
Is that what happens when you drop to 0?
Oh, yes, it is. Yep, yep. If something attacks an alternative stat and it brings it to 0, your soul has fled your body.
Oh. And inexplicably.
Man, what were you saying about expecting a party wife?
I wasn't expecting it this fast.
Inexplicably this time.
Yeah, so you turn to book it, you say cowards, and you feel this ghostly touch just going down your spine. And it hurts a lot, and you might even scream, but you do break away from the necromage, and you start running off after your protectors. And you kind of stumble and limp, and the necromage moves after you 3, but it isn't fast enough to directly catch any of you. So instead of attacking, it's going to use an ability called Terrify. And when it uses the ability called Terrify at the Adept level, everyone that is nearby it must make a Resolute versus Resolute test or automatically spend both of their actions backing away. Its Resolute is 15. So I would like all of you to test your Resolute and the enemy advantage, or the enemy disadvantage is -5, which makes the test more difficult.
Oh no, I'm running away.
And we'll just wait a sec for V, because I think he might have gotten called away.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I'm running away. Boy.
Wow.
What a disadvantage.
Yeah, I'm honestly, when I read Terrify, I was like, either this makes them run away, which is good because they need to do that anyway, or it stops them in their tracks.
Which is very bad.
In which case, we're already at the point where the first 2 hostile rolls of the campaign killed V. But let's see what else can happen.
Can you just let me tell you that if that ability had passed, I would have had 5 arrows that do 1d6 damage each.
Yeah.
And they're free attacks.
Yeah.
Once per turn.
That is really strong. Like,
would it have done enough?
So your arrows would have only done half damage to it. Feasibly,
we had a chance.
You could have killed it.
Okay. But I'm just gonna go and run away.
Yeah.
Meira continues running, and she does not look over her shoulder. She is just booking it.
So, as all of you fail this roll, you hear just a banshee's shriek. And you can't hear whether or not the necromage is chasing after you at this point, because
Dane's too scared to look back. He failed.
You're too scared to look back, honestly, and all you can hear right now is this wailing that honestly makes your bones shiver as you run. It almost hurts, or in Peiko's case, it really does hurt. And fortunately, you run, and you're all gripped by terror. You're running just as fast as you possibly can. Before long, you look a lot like that Queen's Ranger had looked when he stumbled out of the woods. But fortunately, nothing seems to pursue you. And after at least 15 minutes of running without looking back, the sense of dread abates. You're overworked, especially if you're wearing heavy armor, out of breath and shaken by the encounter, but you are alive. And you have a moment to collect yourselves as the night begins. There's still light, but the sun is no longer visible beyond the horizon.
Meira finds a tree with a hollow and she just kind of shoves herself into it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dane is going to, try and gather his sister up and Pekame too, and just push on despite the fact that it's getting darker, because
Sure.
you don't know how much that's going to chase, and even though the sun's not visible, he can keep them going unhindered in dim light.
Under calm circumstances.
Okay.
No, it's definitely, as this goes on, you will settle. It will apply. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But brother, what if it finds us? Perhaps we should hide. Perhaps we should stick to the shadows.
It didn't care about steel. Does it care about shadows? I don't know.
Is Pekome still alive? I haven't bothered looking over my shoulder. Just where is Pekome? Did it get her?
Pekome is like huddled, like half collapsed against the tree, her sword like sticking out of the ground.
Yeah, no, Dane collects Pekome too, now that Pekome's back. Dane collects Pekome and continues pushing off in a general westward direction as long as there's at least dim light.
Mm-hmm.
Meira kind of trails. Wait, don't leave me! Don't leave me in the dark! I'm coming!
So you forge onward, and it begins to get darker and darker, and you don't seem like you're being chased, but it's a good idea to keep moving. Eventually that darkness probably begins to grow disquieting for everyone who isn't Dane, given what came from the trees while it wasn't dark. But Dane, you're capable of making out, as you approach, a plume of smoke against the darkness. And honestly, as you get closer, Meira and Peko, you'll see that there's light coming from a courtyard inside of a wooden palisade up ahead. It's probably some 30 yards away from the tree line, and there's a sign hanging near the entrance of the palisade, although you wouldn't be able to read it until you're closer.
Look.
You're welcome to skirt past or head toward it.
Yeah, no, Dane's gonna kind of mention it as soon as he sees it. I think there's a settlement there. Kind of lead everyone towards it.
Yes, we should approach. In Pekome's state, we should not risk continuing in the dark.
If they could see it, Pekome would be glaring at them.
Right.
I think Pekome is glaring at us. I can sense this.
I have a sixth sense for glares.
Yes. It is the lesser spoken attribute of changelings. We know when someone is glaring at us.
Oof. Ouch.
So one thing to keep in mind with your roleplay view right now, and you're doing it right perfectly anyway, is that your resolute is almost gone. And resolute's sort of your willpower, your ability to resist compulsions, and your nerves are shot after that fight. You have almost no resolve.
Mm-hmm.
But as you approach this, what looks like it might be a settlement, you realize it's a little smaller than a settlement as you get closer. And there's a sign as you get close, and it says Jerax Heart. And the entrance to the gates happens to be open, and you walk into what looks like an inn. And did the map transition work? Are we all on the same?
It did.
Okay.
Bunny heart or bleeding heart?
I'm sorry, what?
Bunny heart or bleeding heart?
Neither.
Why are you asking?
Because the sign said Jared's heart.
Oh, Jerak's heart. It is very much a bleeding heart.
Okay.
The stylized image on the sign is what looks like a fairly rough Medicus's sketch of what might be a human heart were it impaled on a sword or a spear point, which isn't exactly the best sign for an inn, but it is an inn that's somewhat out of the way. And as you approach, it looks populated, but you don't see anyone at first until a moment later, where the door to the inn in the back, which is number 2 over here, this would be the inn, opens up and a woman steps out, and it's a fairly lean woman who looks like she's been through a couple fights, but she's quite charming. She's got a bright smile. She looks over your group with surprise and says, like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting anyone. But are you here to stay the night?"
Dane looks kind of conflicted, but also exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually just nods a lot.
Meira
Looks over his shoulder nervously.
just looks at Picome.
Picome is like at the entrance of the town. Or the inn. Like over at gate 1.
Does she say anything?
She's pretty far back, like warily looking around the whole place.
Okay. So the woman just kind of looks between the 3 of you, and for a moment it looks like she's waiting for something more than Dane's nods. And when it's clear that she isn't getting anything more than that, she says, like, "Oh, well, you guys, you look like you've been through the ringer. I know what that's like. I used to be a treasure hunter myself. I was actually quite a successful one. Why don't you come in? We've got stew on the fire. You can warm yourselves up, and we can talk about settling after that. Come in. My name's Koldra."
Meira will slide up to Picome and lower her voice, and she'll say, "Picome, are you alright?"
Why would you care about that now?
Good point. And then Meira will slide back over to Dane.
Dane will follow after Cauldra and he'll just be like, "There's a ghast."
Koldra hesitates at that. She has the door to the inn open. She's kind of bidding people through it. And when Dane says that, she glances off at the entrance of the palisade and hesitates. She looks a little strained for a moment, and then she says, well, those things, they aren't so zealous about chasing after you. We've never had a trouble with the ghast here. I think you'll be fine. Just come in. And then she lifts her voice and she sounds, "Mangold." And from the building right here, which is, as you've walked past, depending on how carefully you took in the courtyard, you will have seen there's a pond that's of decent size. It's more of a spring, really. And there's what looks like it ought to have been a shrine at one point, except it's been desecrated, really. It's in pieces, by and large, but there's enough structure there that from behind it, an ogre can kind of shamble at the call. And he wanders closer to the group and goes like, "Oh, what you need?" And Coldra goes, just keep an eye out, would you? These fine travelers said they were harassed by a ghast, and we don't want anything like that sneaking up on us now, do we? And the ogre kind of laboriously lifts a hand, and he has sort of a yellow daffodil in hand, and he spins it around and looks at it and goes like, yeah, all right, I'll do that. And he turns around and lumbers his way towards the gate. And Coldra more insistently nudges all of you into the inn. And when you're in, it is, in fact, an inn. And there are some other people in the common room, although not many. There's a pretty large man with a beard, and then 4 children. And they're all sort of gathered around a table with food, and they might have been conversing, but now they're all looking at the door and the 3 of you. And just beside them, there's a fellow who looks extremely foppish. He has a droopy hat with a droopy feather on it, and he has a droopy mustache. And he's holding a lyre in hand, although he's not using it. He too is looking at the group, although he looks far more comfortable than they do. He's lounging on one elbow on the table, and whoever makes eye contact with him just gets a cheeky grin and a little nod, and he goes, hello there.
Picome steps away from him.
Okay.
Dane's just going to, try and at least be diplomatic and be like, long night.
Meira will be silent and follow her brother.
She says.
Okay. So Meira follows after Dane. Picome steps back. Coldra shuts the door and then walks back over to where there's an open seat next to the man with the kids, and she settles down next to him and sort of drapes an arm across his back and says, "This here's my husband, Tandrag. And these are my children, Melga, Nefer, Sandros, and Peggle. Now, you just make yourselves at home, would you? It will cost just a little bit, but it looks like you're good for it. Why all that armor? You must be carrying some money. But just help yourself. This here's Black Hawk. He's a minstrel, and he's refusing to leave at the moment. So maybe he'll entertain you." And Black Hawk sort of shrugs off the jibe. He goes, Coldra, you wouldn't know what to do if I left you. And he looks back at the group, and since Dane's the only one who said anything, he really looks at Dane and he goes, "Well, if you've had a long night, you've come to the right place. Why, Jakad's Heart is the best inn in well, it's the only inn really around here. And Jakad, well, have you heard that story? Do you know where you are right now?"
Yeah.
Well, Dane.
Dane looks confused and shakes his head.
There is a sign outside that says where we are.
We're at an inn, Dane.
You are an astute group, let me tell you that, and I have nothing but admiration for astute. But what I meant was more the legend of where you are. Why? Take a seat. Eat. Listen, I'm a minstrel, so I might as well tell you. You here are on the bloody ground where Jakad met his end. Now, Jakad, you might not know who he was, but he was an adventurer, and he came across a truly magnificent discovery. That spring outside, it's rumored to say, could once cleanse the soul of corruption. Now, Jakad was an ardent follower of Prios. He truly believed in that one god which all true Ambrians must follow, and as all of us, I am sure, here do. So when he found that out, he was a gentle soul, and he thought that Prios would protect him, and he established the start of a the start of an inn, although it's not the one you see here. And he began to live here, and people came from all around to be cleansed of corruption, however they might have come in contact with it, because these are dark times. Why some were marred from our flight from Albertor, and some have been marred by their excursions into Davokar. But whatever their cause, Jakad welcomed them here and welcomed them to the cleansing waters below the shrine. But the elves... The elves were not pleased at this creation of man on the edge of their forest, and one day they invaded and they slew Jakad, for he eschewed normal protection. He had no guards and no means of defending himself. And as the legend says, when his heart was pierced, the cleansing elements of the spring bled out as Jakad did. So anyway, that's where you are. I hope you like it here. It's quite the place. It really is. You might want to take a look at the spring. It won't really do anything for you. And at that, Kuldra kind of snorts and goes, "Oh well, if only you'd told that tittering loon who'd been here earlier the same thing." And Blackhawk shrugs a little bit and said, "Well, you kicked him out before I had the chance."
Who
And at that
was
point,
here?
At that point, Kuldra will kind of perk up a little bit at the question and go, what was his name? Some sort of pilgrim, Ashigan, something like that. I don't quite remember. He wasn't very well spoken, dear. He just ranted about wanting to prepare the well for his mistress, I think he said, something like that. But he kept making demands, and it was clear he wasn't going to be a proper guest. So I threw him out. He said he warned us. He warned us. He said his mistress would not be forgiving. But well, you know how it is. You've seen all sorts of things. You look like a skillful bunch, and my adventures in Davokar, I've run into plenty of insane folk.
How long ago was he here?
2 days, maybe 3? No, just 2 days ago.
Pekome slowly, if warily, hooks the shield back onto her back.
Okay. Pekome isn't holding her sword out right now, is she? Okay, all right, good.
When I entered the inn, she put it away.
Good. Great. So everyone really looks a little more cheerful when the completely armor-clad knight puts away the shield. And the minstrel sort of claps his hands together. He's just like, progress. I knew we were all going to be friends. This is lovely. Come, sit down. And, go ahead.
Feathered man, what is wrong with the shrine?
Oh, well, ask Kuldra that. I've told her to get it repaired time and time again, but she says that, well, what is it you say, Kuldra? And Kuldra shrugs and says, well, if there's no power in the water, I don't see any reason to repair the shrine. The elves did in for it when they did in for Jakad.
Could the shrine itself not be what powered the water?
Well, I hardly think so. He built the shrine because of the water.
How long ago was he slain?
4 years ago. 4 years ago. And I built all of this about 3 years ago, and I thought I might be getting a little too old to keep on adventuring. You know, I'd had some children, and she kind of gestures at the kids around the table and says, no good in a mother risking her life out in the depths of Davokar, now is there?
What of the ogre? How long has he lived here?
Oh, he came with me. We adventured together, he and I.
Yeah. He seems like one not meant for strife.
Oh, well, you only think that because you haven't seen him angry. He mostly just gardens. He's got a real nice garden behind the shrine, or not behind the shrine, behind the spring. But trust me, you put a cudgel in his hand and you make him angry, and you're not gonna have a skull for long.
We won't do that.
I knew you were a smart bunch.
How much to stay here?
How much to stay here? Well, that's a good question. How much to stay here?
At first, I thought this was in character, like she was about to hawk up the prices, and then I realized.
Well, you're all by yourself, and wouldn't want to be out there with those whites now, would you? So I think 50 thaler would be a good price. No, I'm just looking it up. No.
Goodbye.
Stella had a heart attack.
I'll go sleep in that tree I found earlier.
It's gonna be something like 2 or 3 thaler. We'll come back to that. There's a table, but I don't remember where it is right now. So,
Isn't it in the middle of the room?
you can't stay. You're out. Get out. Get out now.
Excuse you, I'm pretty persuasive. That came off as funny.
Okay. They couldn't see your grin because you're wearing a helmet.
It's the reverse changeling glare attribute. Whenever a changeling...
Other people can tell whenever a changeling is smiling. So that's more or less it. If you want, you can ask them more questions about the pilgrim, about the thing, but otherwise they're going to sort of devolve into just small talk. And when you do ask to be shown to your rooms, you each get a single room on the upper floor of the inn. On the smaller side, it's rustic for sure, but it's fairly nice. All in all,
Are there locks on the doors?
No.
Are there chairs in the rooms?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's chairs. I mean, if you wanted to make sort of a makeshift barricade, you absolutely could. But it's just of a scale at the inn that apparently locking doors just doesn't seem that important to them.
Do the windows open?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Look, we gotta know this stuff ahead of time.
Yeah, no, of course.
What if necromage for some reason just like walks through the barricade Stella made? She's got to know if she can jump out the window.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Meira wants to perhaps double up in someone's room and sleep farther from the door. So there's a meat barrier. But
Well,
she suspects that is probably not going to be a viable plan. So instead, she's going to sleep very terribly by herself, barricading her door, keeping her window unlocked.
Uh-huh.
And huddling in the sheets with only her eyes poking over.
Okay.
Picome will go to her room, slide a chair under the handle to stop the door from opening, switch into her more discreet clothing with the hood, and go about cleaning out her armor.
So what does
Okay.
Picome look like now that she's...
You can't see, so you don't get to know.
You gotta
No,
ask that when you
what-
have vision of her.
What does Pekome look like? I see everything.
Yes!
Well, you see, I was hoping she was gonna die in the first encounter, so I wouldn't have to say. In which part? With the armor or without?
Without the armor. What'd you look like?
She has a hood over her head.
Uh-huh. So was the hood just under the helmet?
No, she has a spare set of clothes in her pack.
Okay. So as soon as she took off the helmet, she just like whipped into the other clothes real fast.
Yes.
She turned away from the camera.
Yeah, she turned away from the camera. Okay.
Yeah, you just saw long, well, not long because it was tied up, but brunette hair covering the back of her.
I think
And
the
then-
real twist is that Bakame is like undead. She's not a changeling. She's like the daughter had a fall and broke her neck, but she was infected by a spirit that just raised her into this state of unlife, and she's trying to make it as a.
Well, then maybe I would have been able to hurt the necromage.
It's true. It's true. All right. And does Dane also retreat to his room?
Yes, he goes into his room and then he just kind of stares at the door and thinks for a while.
Uh-huh.
And then he shrugs and just goes to bed and doesn't do anything with the door.
Okay.
But first he does these 4 gifts.
Sorry,
Oh.
he does.
He
I
thinks a
suppose.
lot.
He thinks a lot. But I posted the thinking gifts.
Oh, I was looking at the Roll20.
Yeah, Kevin was looking for presents.
No. Yeah, no. He thinks a lot, and then eventually he comes to the conclusion that if armor isn't going to do anything, a door's not going to do anything, why
Right.
even bother closing it? But
Yeah.
then he closes it anyway.
Uh-huh. I mean, there are other people, too. There's a...
Yeah, just, like, it's a terrifying situation, but at the end of the day, he's like, I'm functionally powerless against it.
Mm-hmm.
So Meira, when she takes off her hood, so they're in Mortal Kombat. There's those people who have like bone arms, like
Mhm.
bones
Uh-huh.
sticking out of their arm. What are
Yeah.
they called?
Dark cottons.
Tarkatans, yeah.
Yeah, so she looks like that, except like
Ooh.
so she's completely bald and she sort of has these like fin-like ears and they're kind of somewhat elvish but not really, and she has this very serpentine kind of face, very pronounced cheekbones, and she has kind of a narrow and short nose, and she does look quite monstrous in her natural form. She has very thin lips, and she has these honey brown eyes, and I think that she would have some kind of deformity along her body, but she's wearing clothes, so you can't see that right now.
Okay. Sounds good. Great.
So does she have the like sort of bone protrusions sticking out?
Very minorly, more like horns and ridges, so it's a little draconic kind of,
Awesome.
but it's
Clearly
definitely
they're just shoulder plates.
clearly
Clearly just shoulder. So the three of you eventually turn in your own ways, getting varying degrees of sleep. And Meira, now you're sleeping lightly, and all of you are sleeping lightly, I imagine, after what's happened. So it doesn't take much to wake you up. And you are woken up even in the middle of the night when something suddenly hits the shutters outside. Just a thud. And then 2 more, just thud, thud. And it sounds far too light to be a fist or something, but something is hitting the outside of the inn, and it's hitting it higher than a person ought to be. And it might be a little hard to parse exactly what is happening before the sound of an alarm bell starts ringing. You hear sort of a disjointed movement outside, some voices calling to each other. In confusion, someone in less confusion and more alarm. What do you 3 do?
Pekome rushes to put her armor on.
Okay.
Meira
Rings
was
the alarm.
ready for this.
Shane gets up naked and goes out.
Meira fixes her mask and
You
pulls
don't,
up her hood.
Okay.
Looks out the window.
So outside on the window, you see, through the window rather, on the gatehouse, you see the ogre, who's Mangold. You see Mangold standing on the gatehouse, and he's joined by the eldest daughter of the innkeep and her husband. And the daughter's probably 14 or so, and the ogre's pointing out something, and they're ringing the bell together. And then you see the daughter turn, and she just kind of cups her hands over her ears, or her mouth, and shouts, "Goblins! Goblins! There are goblins everywhere, Mom!" And below you can hear more people moving around, and at this point you're probably able to piece together that there is some form of an attack going on in the inn, and that the sounds you hear are people kind of preparing to defend, and it might behoove you to do the same.
What is the main Ambrian god?
Prios.
Or goddess? Prios?
Prios, so you certainly know that Prios is the one true god of Ambria. And you also probably know, having come from a noble house, that actually wasn't the case for more than the last 20 years. Back in Albertor, there were a host of gods, and Prios was one of many. Prios was a fairly forgiving god of compassion. But now Prios has become recognized as the only god and the most powerful god, and not a very forgiving god at all. There's a lot of purity and rightness that comes along with the Ambrian faith these days. The fire of truth and so on.
As Pekome is finishing up getting ready, she's just going to like whisper to herself, "Thank Prios, it's something I can stab."
That's quite reasonable. So you go out in your armor, and Meira, do you leave your room?
Yes. I take my bow and quiver and dagger.
So you both...
That it's something that armor might be of use against.
Yeah, I was about to say, you walk out into the hall, and you both encounter Dane naked.
Meira looks at him.
Well, no, he goes back in once he hears goblins.
Oh, okay. So when you hear... You've heard... Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
So we step out and we just hear his door close again.
Basically, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Meira will say, "Quickly get dressed, brother," knowing he probably always does this. Unfortunately. She'll rush outside.
Kevin,
Sup?
did I recover any resolve during the short rest?
So overnight, so each day in the system, you regain a health point, and that does apply to damaged stats otherwise. You would gain 1 resolute. You can go ahead and have 2 now, although you won't, like, if you survive this and go back to sleep, you won't, like, get another point over the course of the night. Like, you've gotten the night's healing in that little reprieve, basically.
So I'm up to 2 now?
So now
Yes.
you're 2 coward points away from being dead.
No, I'm 2 anti-ghost points.
Sorry, Pekome.
Does this count as a new... So, temporary corruption resets every scene. I assume this is like cut to new scene.
Yeah, I would
A new
say
challenge,
that your corruption has reset at this point.
Cool.
Unless the scene is considered like this camp.
Yeah, no, this would be a fresh encounter.
Okay.
I would, you would have even earned like a reward for the scene, but the reward was that you survived. You don't get experience just for running away.
My reward was not taking 5 damage and dying.
Right. Yep.
Our reward was getting to keep our tank.
I take 2 hits from like the strongest thing on that list. You're bad at that.
Apparently.
That's the second time you've rolled a 16. Was that just like a test for the heck of it, or were you?
No, that was because
He was preparing.
Oh, you can like bank that or something?
I mean, it stays around you for the whole scene.
Oh, okay, cool. So that didn't. So you're back to 3 temporary corruption.
Yes.
Pekome will head out the
Perfect.
front door, pulling out her sword and shield.
Yeah, so Dane sort of ineffectually tries to
He
conjure
cajoles his
something.
quiver again, and
Yeah, and
he
it
like
doesn't
wiggles slightly and do
Mhm.
nothing.
So as he goes downstairs doing that, and Meira goes down as well.
She will string her bow and knock an arrow.
She strings her bow, knocks an arrow, and Pekome is ready for combat, and perhaps even encouraged that it sounds like it's combat she'll get to partake in. As you walk out the door, you see Koldra, and she's just outside front. She turns and she says, "Oh, good, you're awake. Listen, either we fight this off or we all die. I don't know why they're here. Maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't. But get up on that gatehouse or anywhere you can have a vantage point and get ready to defend yourselves." So, the minstrel's nowhere to be seen. He didn't look like someone who's ready to fight, honestly. So, chances are he's probably hiding somewhere. You can seek him out if you want to. Otherwise, it is possible that you could get up on the gatehouse. You can't quite see what's going on beyond just yet. You could also climb the roof of the stable, which is building number 3 right here, or get onto the inn itself. The palisade itself, as well, has stairs, and you could mount the walls anywhere you like, honestly.
Meira will go up to the gatehouse, especially because the big one is up there,
Mm-hmm.
and she can use them as a meat shield.
Excellent.
Pekome will head over to the ogre and the little girl.
Okay, all right. So right now, the ogre, the
Or eldest
girl,
daughter.
Peiko, and Meira are on the gatehouse. Where does Dane go?
Yeah, Dane's gonna go up to the gatehouse to get on
Okay.
top and
So you're all on the gatehouse.
And then it tips over and we die.
It's a sturdy gatehouse, fortunately. It does appear to have
tips
been well
over and
constructed.
crushes all the goblins.
And
Tactical.
outside the palisade, you see, really it looks like chaos, honestly. There's something like 30 goblins maybe outside who are trying to get inside. They're running around, running amok, really. Roll me a test for vigilance, each of you. Let me, before you do that though, let me see if it's modified. Yeah, just hit me with a vigilant.
0.
Oof.
Okay, so Pekome is wearing a helmet and can't really see too much. Dane and Meira, you both kind of notice something odd about the goblins, and you've run into goblins before. They aren't really the most uncommon of creatures, and they aren't always eager to fight, but right now they certainly look eager to fight. They also seem to be in a bit of a frenzy. There's one group of goblins approaching the gatehouse with a ladder, and they're the most coordinated of the group. There are a lot of people running aimlessly at the foot of the palisade with no apparent way of getting over. Some of them stop to just break out into laughter or tears. A couple that look like they're carrying the ladder are actually foaming at the mouth right now. It's certainly confusing, and it's also certainly hostile, because as you're watching, the ladder gets tipped up onto the gatehouse. Some metallic spikes kind of pin the head of the ladder to the gatehouse itself, so it can't easily be dislodged, and 3 goblins spring up to join you. Or actually, let's see. More than 3 goblins. 5 goblins spring up.
17 goblins.
All 30 are on the gatehouse with you right now. Roll initiative or die.
There was a long ladder. They all climbed it at once.
So,
You mean
As
roll
the-
initiative and die?
yeah, well, yeah.
Thus far, that has
Tomato,
been true
tomato.
for one of us, technically.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So as the ladder strikes, the daughter skedaddles. She runs back. Koldra shouts out her name. Let's get back here. And if you do spare look back to the inn, the children are inside, but Coldra and her husband are outside, and they're mounting the palisade elsewhere. They're heading up to the north side of the wall right now. Oops, oh no, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh god, he added more goblins.
Oh no,
Yeah.
there's 50 of them. 30
Now
to
there's
50.
goblins. So they're up here, and the ogre kind of shambles his way over here as goblins appear to start climbing their way up. And before long, they're each engaged. You do have a moment before the goblins get up, and if you look further, you see there's a pretty foreboding figure in the shadows. It almost looks like a statue because it isn't moving at all. It's armored in some sort of dark steel or perhaps leather. And it's standing not at all, but it seems to be in command. And
I'm gonna
If
assume I
you-
don't see that.
so, yeah, you probably don't see that. Dane and Meira do. And then if you manage a roll, give me a roll for vigilant, but roll me a modifier of let's say -2 this time.
Alright, this is very likely to work.
Okay, you definitely don't see any.
There's goblins.
Dane and Meira, roll me vigilant -2 as well,
Okay.
for another purpose.
Oof.
Okay. So
This
you
is my
guys,
natural
you
high
can
roll
see the
for-
figure, but you can't really see much about it, and it looks like there might be something else out there. You see kind of just a very indistinct reddish haze for a moment in the shadows, but it's just too hard to see. And before you have a chance to focus in on it, there are 5 goblins spilling out onto the gatehouse with you. It's a good thing they appear to have only brought one ladder, because the goblins attacking the other parts of the inn are having a more difficult time getting up there. But you guys are engaged in combat. I should have kept that turn thing. Oh, hey,
Oh god.
it's still there. So is the necromage.
Oh no.
The
God help us if we ever find one of those ever again.
the
I
mist
know,
is
right?
actually the necromage.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we might be okay now. It would be off in the distance. You'd have a chance to fire all your arrows
You
at
could
it.
start
I'm
running
not.
now. All right.
Okay.
What is the quick for
so,
these beasties?
So you can right-click the tokens there to add them.
Got him.
Are those just you guys?
I just dragged them on there so you can right-click
Yeah.
the tokens.
You guys still see yourselves on the turn order, though, right?
No. You have to clear
Oh.
that. That's from last time. When you
Oh,
transition maps, it
man.
doesn't carry over. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Add turn. Dane 5. Add turn. Wait. Dane 5. Stay at 5. Peiko 13.
Way to go, Dane. Oh my god.
What the heck?
Kory.
I can edit that. It turns out.
Oh. Okay. What were you again for Meira? 11? Nice. Great. Okay. And I'll just add 1 turn for all of the goblins. Goblins. We'll get y'all some fancy tokens for future sessions.
I
That'd be
can
cool.
do that real quick.
We'll
Yeah, I
get
thought-
you some
I thought
tokens
Stella had done
right
it earlier.
now.
Like, wasn't that whole thing where she was like, "Let me get you tokens"?
No, that was for stream overlay.
I can just literally use those.
That works too, though. Quick. 15. Wow, that was real quick.
Doing it live.
Oh god, goblins are quick.
Yeah. Who would have guessed?
Oops, sorry.
And we're dead.
Yeah.
So we're gonna assume that you guys are starting this with weapons drawn. I'm gonna guess that.
Hey, I
all-
said I drew my weapon.
Yeah, you did. But I'm just gonna say that everyone has had a chance to do likewise.
I might have screwed up the initiative thing. Sorry.
Stella deleted us.
Oh my god!
It's practice.
That's correct.
5.
11.
11.
13.
Okay, fantastic. So we got a 15, a 13, 11, and a 5. So there are 5 goblins. Dane, what are you using for a weapon? Do you have your quarterstaff
Just
out?
put me as 13 and a half.
Yes, I did. Dane would definitely have kind of planned to come up here with his sling or his bow, but seeing the ladder get set up, yeah, he definitely set that aside and get out his quarterstaff.
Okay, so if you have your quarterstaff out, it's a long weapon, which means you do get a free attack at the start of combat.
Well, that's great because I'm bad at it.
So just go ahead and roll an attack.
What's the
Wow,
enemy
wait.
disadvantage?
This is crazy. The enemy disadvantage is 9.
Regrettably,
Die.
I am impressed that you did not hit that.
well, you see.
Yeah,
You're
no,
fine.
I got you.
Wait, plus 9?
Yeah, their disadvantage is 9, so
Yeah.
his roll
I mean,
was
they're at
made
30.
much easier. But it's 5, so that's
I
fine.
was planning on getting free attacks that just hit automatically. But...
Right, of course. That would have been good. So you don't hit anything. You swing out with the quarterstaff, and none of the goblins even really look like they're trying to dodge. They look incensed and angry and a little out of their minds. And one of them throws up its arms and it goes, "We're gonna kill you!" And that happens to make the goblin next to him stumble, and you just whiff. You slam the air overhead, and then they're upon you.
Goddamn goblins.
So,
Brother, the point is to hit the goblins.
a goblin runs right up to Peiko
Mm-hmm. And does 2 resolute damage.
and has a rusty one-handed sword and swings. So you are going to roll your defense
Mm-hmm.
against nothing, against 0.
Enemy hit, damage negated 6.
Okay, so it deals 6 damage, which means that you take none, because that's premeditation.
Yay.
So it just kind of, the rusty sword just bounces off of your breastplate, honestly. You feel a little jarred and probably annoyed more than anything else.
Next. And what are the other 4
actually, I'm sorry, let me just double check. Oh, I think it's included.
What's up?
I just need to make sure one of these stats for it.
The goblin's innate ability, Shank.
Yeah, okay, cool. We're good. So you're all
Tickle
set
with sharp objects.
on that front. A second goblin of the 5 runs up, and it flanks you, which means I need to remember what
They
advantage
both start getting
does.
advantage, and advantage is generally +3 to the attack roll.
This gives a +2 modification to any success
Oh.
test to attack, and deals +1 d4 extra damage.
Okay, plus 1d4, which is just 2 because it's always averaged for NPCs. So go ahead and roll to defend again, but you're going to be at a disadvantage of the enemy disadvantage is -2 this.
Oof.
Okay, so you will take 2 damage, but this time, fortunately, it is to your strong. I'm sorry. Well, I said it's to your strong, but it's to your toughness. Not,
Okay.
you
I was
don't
like,
lose
man,
the
what a
stat.
tough-
You just take. Yeah. There you go. Didn't. Okay, we're good. So there are 3 more goblins.
It's okay. I've got 80 points of stats worth to lose.
One more is going to run up. Session 0. V has 2 points left of his initial 80, or he has 8 points left of his initial 80. So a third goblin runs up to Peiko
Mm-hmm.
and attacks Peiko. So just the same roll again, the -2.
Oh God. Back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Why didn't he take? Oh, he did. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, I'm a dummy.
Back out, bro.
So whenever you're situated again, just roll the -2 defense.
Yeah, I'm trying to not roll minus.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Alright.
So you take 3 points of damage. You mitigate 5 out of the 8.
Okay.
So you are at 9 toughness. Great. One of the remaining 2 goblins runs up to Meira, and one runs up to Dane. Each of you will be attacked. You can each roll your defense. There's no modifier.
Do we just roll our defense or quick? Where's defense at?
It's the little
so
shield next to the armor.
I
you have
think-
on.
Yeah,
Oh.
if you click the little shield, you'll roll your defense, which is basically the attribute of your quick,
Ah.
but then it folds in the other stats.
Okay.
So you get hit. Jeez, you all get.
Wow. Stella doesn't.
Okay, good job, Meira.
Thank
lot
you.
of-
I am
so
limbo.
you take 3 damage, Kory,
Done.
because it's 6 flat unless you're being flanked. And you negated 3. Great. So now it's Meira's turn. Or sorry, that's a lie. It's Peiko's turn. Bash his skull.
Which was the one that did the most damage?
So you are standing on the gatehouse. You have 1 goblin in front of you and 1 to either side. The one to your left is the one that kind of got in with its sword, and it just happened. It doesn't really look like it was aiming any more carefully than its companions, but its sword caught the elbow joint in your armor and drew blood there, and it's cackling.
Okay, I'm gonna try and spike it in the head with my sword.
Okay. Go ahead and roll to attack. You get +9, so 9 disadvantage to the enemy on the attack roll. Okay, you deal 4 damage to this goblin. How much health does the goblin does? 10.
It was 10.
3. Okay, so it gets hurt a bit. Meira, it is your turn.
Okay. I would like to get out of melee, and I have an ability called Acrobatics. It says I can roll against quick to avoid free attacks from enemies in melee combat.
Excellent, I love it.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll quick for that. Do I get any enemy disadvantage?
Unless it says, are you testing against the stat?
It just says to roll for quick.
Okay, then it's just a flat roll.
Awesome.
Okay.
So Meira kind of like weaves away at she dodges his hit, weaves away, and she will attempt to attack with her bow. Is there any enemy disadvantage?
It was
So
a
your
9
attack is going to be 9. Yeah, enemy disadvantage of 9.
Nice.
Great.
Good job,
Okay,
Solo.
so that's 5 damage. You were hitting a goblin. Were you hitting the one that was attacking you?
Yes.
Okay. So you do manage to nail it. It has this sort of... It has crow armor on. Crow armor is the sort of shoddy chainmail made by bits of metal you've found over the course of your life and just stuck onto a jerkin. And your arrow just kind of finds a hole in that makeshift armor and punches in. The goblin doesn't look awfully concerned, but it doesn't even look awfully cognizant of anything. Its eyes are a little wild, and it sort of lets out a little bit of a squeal as it's hit, and then it just swings its sword through the air before even bothering to look at something new to attack. Dane, it is your turn.
Well, Dane just kind of swings at the goblin that's harassing him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you like to roll again to see if it's a crit?
Yeah. No.
Okay, it's not a crit.
Hey, and my first success of the game.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we
That
found out that
is
you can
combat
have
related
successes.
success of the game.
Combat.
Okay.
So you swing through the air and don't quite manage to hit anything. You hear a bit of crashing in the distance, and for those of you that care to see, over in the corner where Mangold is, you see 2 goblins just soar through the air. They probably get about 15 feet above the highest point of the palisade, one after the other, and then they arc downward and just soar down to the ground in the distance. And it looks like he's got his corner pretty well under control right now. There's fighting behind you, but it's pretty difficult to get a glimpse behind, directly behind yourself in the heat of battle. So we're back at the top of the turn order, and the goblins are going to do their attacks. V, if you'd like to make...
Oh.
Yeah?
I forgot to do something that's a free action.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, do it.
I glare at the goblin.
Okay, great. The goblin just stays...
Kory, please.
Oh, okay.
The system was designed against me. I'm only able to roll high.
Okay, well, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind. It's fine.
This is awful. All right.
So you were saying about that party wipe.
So, V, go ahead. One of the goblins is going to attack. The one that actually scored a good hit on you is going to attack. So you're still flanked. So go ahead and roll a defense -2.
Am I doing 3 flanked attacks or
Just one right now.
you missed?
Okay, fantastic. Another one.
At -2?
Yep.
You missed.
Okay, fantastic. And one more.
So I was gonna do 3.
Yeah. I just wanted you
You
to...
critically missed.
Excellent. So roll for that one again, just to see to confirm whether it's a crit or not.
Okay.
No. Okay. So that's fine. So nothing happens. So you, Peiko's a fighter. She's been sort of getting the raw end of the stick up to this point, but getting blooded sort of brings the instincts back, and the next set of attacks from these crazed goblins just fall on shield and parrying blade. And she comes out really the worse for wear, despite their focus. Meira, the goblin that was attacking you is going to give chase and close into melee range with you again and attack. So go ahead and roll me a defense.
I can do that. Enemy disadvantage?
Zero, 'cause you're not flanking.
Yeah, if you're rolling defense, it will just be. Okay, so it hits for 6 damage. You negate 3, so you take 3 damage. And Dane, go ahead and roll for your opponent hitting you again.
Okay. Wait, no, that's
So you want to hit the shield. You want to roll
Yeah.
for defense instead of...
yeah. Yeah, you right. And also, I think I failed that, but
Okay, well, failed that one. God, I need you guys to get rolls here. So you take 4 damage.
yeah,
How's your toughness looking?
I'm halfway there.
Okay.
I'm not somehow.
Well, yeah, you are wearing a full suit of armor. That goes a long way.
Yeah, but I got stabbed with bonus damage.
You are 100% right about that. Peiko, it is your turn. Would
Wait,
you like to attack the goblin that you were fighting before?
Can I just, like, pick him up and throw him off the gate?
So no.
Okay.
There are some particular talents that deal with like
Mhm.
grappling and the skills of actually getting in range of someone with a weapon. And Peiko does not have them.
Okay.
What skills does? I'm just gonna move your sheet real quick. So snooping. Oh, are you using strong when you attack instead of accurate?
Yep, that's the
Okay.
only reason I'm hitting. Because
Good.
my accurate is 5.
Just making sure.
So that could be a crit.
Yeah, go ahead and confirm.
So how does this confirm? Do I have to crit again or land it?
So if you get another 1, you'll get the 5 plus 4. Otherwise, you just get the 5. Okay, so you just did 5 damage to it. Now it does have armor, so not all of that goes
I've
through.
been low. Do they always do 10 damage? Or...
Sorry?
No, okay, never mind. I was reading the defense wrong earlier. Ignore that.
You've been rolling low on the damage.
Mm-hmm. Because I have a D10.
Yeah, I just checked that because I was like, I wonder what you could be hitting right now. Okay, great. So that's your roll. You have done 3 damage total through armor to this goblin. It looks... Jeez.
Perfectly fine.
Not perfectly fine, but a little better than you do.
Rude. I blame our mage who is yet to actually cast a spell.
I mean, you know.
I put it first. I don't know what more you want me to do.
Is it my turn?
It is your turn, Meira. Go ahead.
I shall. Can I use my bow to attack another creature that's not engaged in melee with me?
So it's a little ambiguous. I think the general consensus from the reading that I was doing before session is that you're not supposed to be able to do ranged attacks before you disengage from combat.
Okay.
So
while
you could
you're
attack
being
someone
stabbed,
else.
you're
Like
not
if you get out of the goblin being in your face, you could attack any of the goblins. It doesn't have to be the one in front of you.
Mhm.
The only but like yeah, you would need to use acrobatics again to like get out.
Okay. I shall do so quick. Okay.
Excellent.
I get out of melee range. And I shoot with my bow.
Okay. Who are you hitting?
The one in front of me.
Okay.
Nice.
Great. Okay, so you do damage to it, which is excellent. You cannot miss. I just realized.
Yeah,
With
me and Meira cannot miss.
Okay, that's great. So that's 6 damage mitigated by 3. So that goblin looks hurting, kind of. Dane, it's your turn.
It's mostly just the flank bonus damage that's destroying me.
Mm-hmm.
Enemy disadvantage is 9.
Yes.
Oh wait, I could actually just do this instead of being dumb.
Why change now? Attack hit for 1 damage.
Okay. Well, you do hit him, and he pauses for a second and kind of like he's got a helmet on and it doesn't fit really well. And when your quarterstaff hits it, it sort of rattles around his head, and he's like, and he stares up at you and he goes like, "You're gonna die. I'm gonna eat your gizzards." And then it's the goblin's turn.
Oh.
This.
I blame Kory.
Just so the resistance for this mob, like the stats that it has, its resistance is rated as weak.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And like one-on-ones, I'd be like safe for hours.
Yeah.
That extra D4 hurts like hell.
Uh-huh. I think honestly with like 10 to 20 experience accumulated, like you guys would be plowing through these probably.
I mean, if I just
in a
like
heartbeat.
I get adept in man-at-arms, I no longer have MP, then my defense is like 15 to 16.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so V, go ahead and roll me a defense, a flanked defense.
Do you want me to just roll 3 back-to-back?
Just roll one at a time.
Enemy hit, damage negated 2. That's bad.
Yeah, so you just took 6 damage.
I'm about to die. Alright, you ready for the next one?
Yeah, go ahead and roll me another.
It's fine. It's
Enemy
fine.
missed.
It missed. All right.
Now for the last one, question.
Yep, last one.
Oop, that's a -2. Nailed it.
I mean, it's just okay.
Enemy hit, damage negated 8. Is that all the
Excellent. You
damage?
didn't take any damage from the hit. Ooh.
Nailed it.
Easy.
All right. So Peiko is staggering under this rain of blows from the 3 goblins. But she's still in it. She's still there. She's not yet fallen. Meira, the goblin that's chasing you once more chases you. It gets up.
It turns
Right
around
in
and
your
kills
face.
Peiko.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. And I was like, "Oh, quit running!" And then it slashes at you. Just go ahead and roll.
At 0?
Yep, that's 0. Okay, roll once more.
Just don't roll a 20.
I don't think they do anything for crits, do they?
Well, it says enemy critical hit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just roll once more.
Yeah, and I mean,
Okay. Cool. So it's not a crit. So you take 3 damage.
Okay.
And Dane, go ahead and do the same.
okay,
We should have bought elixirs.
they have elixirs here.
Bought a bodyguard.
We should have.
All
We
right.
should have bought a Ghostbuster.
So that hit with your quarterstaff might not have hurt the goblin, but it did disorient someone. And his next swing doesn't quite make it. It glides past an etching in your new robe of you missing an attack, or an attack missing on you. And it's Peiko's turn again.
All right. Well, even if I wanted to leave, I would take 3 attacks of opportunity.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You're locked in combat, really.
All
at
right.
this
Well,
point.
moment of truth. Let's kill the injured goblin.
Yeah, that sounds great. Do it.
Ah, beautiful.
Okay. So you hit the goblin, but it just glances off of its armor.
You were saying about party wipes?
Meira, what would you like to do?
This is great. I love this.
Meira will try to get away again.
Okay.
Meira just backflipping all over
Oh
the place.
no. Okay.
Do you get away?
So what happens when you fail? Is it
So when
like
I fail, basically, I can choose to just stay, or I can choose to leave and then get a free action against me.
Oh, okay. Well,
Free
that's quite
action.
nice, honestly.
Well, I only have 4 hit points left.
Well, can you shoot
Um,
it at point blank?
That's a good question. DM, can I shoot it at point blank?
So I think you can't, but give me just a second to verify.
Okay.
And that's how everyone got eaten by goblins. Except for Dane.
Thought you guys were gonna take these out like in 1 round or 2 rounds.
Well, that would involve me rolling higher than a 5 on damage.
honestly, yeah, dude. Like if you had rolled in the upper half of your damage consistently at all on any of these hits, like it'd be over.
Or if I didn't just roll like 3 17s for defending. I mean, all I have to do is never get hit again. You know? That's it.
Okay, so there's actually just there's an optional rule that lets you use an arrow jab in melee range. But
We
it,
don't need optional rules. We don't
but
need
otherwise you could
handicaps.
just so you can shoot him in melee range. Go ahead if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill him.
I believe in you.
9.
Just don't roll a 1. Don't be like me and Kory.
All right, 5 damage, last 3. So he's not done.
Oh my gosh.
Look, if we kill at least 1 goblin, our spirits can die happily.
No. So I've done
Man.
7 damage.
Kory,
5
Yeah.
plus.
would your free
6?
arrows ignore armor?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Plus 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has 3 armor.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So 7 of your damage is gone through, and he has 10 health. So he's pretty close to dying.
Yeah, if I just rolled like 110 ever.
Okay. Dane.
All right, Dane, this is your moment to be a hero.
Dane tries to thunk the nearest goblin.
Go for
I hate you so much.
it. Well, you hit him. You did thunk him.
Roll one more time. Let me just see if you can like do above 1 damage.
He's gonna miss.
Well, no, I mean, odds are in his favor. I think he's Kory.
He
I
can't.
think June called him.
I can do above 1 damage.
All right, lesson learned, boys. We've got hope. All right,
Okay.
now to just do 3 defenses and die.
Yeah. So fortunately for you guys,
The battle turns elsewhere.
GM to the rescue.
the battle turns elsewhere. The rest of the wall,
Mangle.
there is only 1 ladder, fortunately. So it has not been an easy feat for goblins to ascend elsewhere. And over the span of this sort of extended bleeding out of your collective health pools, the rest of the wall has been defended. So the goblins soon find themselves assailed from their left, or your left, I should say, by Kolra, was that her name?
Culture.
Koldra and Tandrag, and from the right by Mangold.
I like how you remembered the harder name.
Yeah.
Alright.
and it gives you a moment's reprieve.
So
as
only one
the
did
goblins, well, really only 2 of the goblins have even been hurt. 3 of them are totally fine still. Oh my god. All right. Next time you guys fight something, it's gonna be like an orphan who's half starved in the alleyway, and there's just gonna be one of them.
Look, the thing that changed it all is you were like, all right, 3 goblins, nah, 5 goblins climb up.
Yeah. Well, the recommendation was PCs plus 2,
Mm-hmm.
which is 5. But I should have not said 5.
Well, I mean, it's PCs plus 2. There's only like 2 player characters here.
I mean, stat-wise, you're not a character anymore, Pete. Alright, so they are beaten back before they manage to dispatch you 3, which is fortunate for you.
And
Mangold sweeps 2 of them clear off the top of the gatehouse, and they fall one on top of the other. And there might even be an instance of one falling onto the sword of the other because they don't seem to move. And Koldra dispatches the one that Peiko Mori had been, Peiko May rather, had been dueling with. And then there's a lull. You're left to breathe heavily and sort of collect yourself from the fight. But unfortunately, the ladder's still there, and there are somewhere in the order of 15 or so goblins still milling out in the darkness. Before they start advancing, however, there is one more goblin that wriggles up over the ladder.
This is
And at
Kory's turn.
first, he looks just like the others. He's got these weird twitches going on, but as he straightens up onto the gatehouse, he kind of glances around and then he goes, "Kick the ladder down! Kick the ladder down! I'm not like them!"
Dane takes his quarterstaff and tries prying the ladder off the wall with it.
It was stabbed like into the wall, wasn't it?
Yeah, there are iron spikes biting into
Yeah,
the wood.
that's why he's using.
That's why he's prying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with help,
Meira will help her brother.
Dane, yeah. So you manage to pick the ladder off, and what do you do with it? Do you give it a shove, like to send it out into the dark again?
Why don't we
know,
just take
Can
the
we
ladder?
break it?
Yeah.
Let's just
Pull
take
it
the
up.
ladder.
Okay,
What is
That-
they gonna
that-
do?
that's a great
Have
idea.
it? They're short.
So collectively, you start struggling with the ladder, trying to lift it up, and Mangold kind of picks up on this and reaches up and goes like, "I've got it." And with his help, you just lift the ladder up and then sort of toss it back into the courtyard on your side of the palisade. The goblin that's up with you splays out on the ground as if trying to avoid being seen from the other side. And he's got these long ears that are just laying down beside him. He's like, good. And sort of a shout comes up from the outside of the palisade when the goblins realize they don't have a ladder anymore. And that's bad.
What was the shout?
It's pretty incoherent. And honestly, it doesn't even stand out that much against the random laughs and cries and giggles of the maddened creatures below. But eventually they do sort of wander away from the palisade, and in the darkness you start to hear the sound of chopping wood.
They had to go make another ladder.
Yeah, so you can infer that they're probably maybe making a ladder, maybe cutting down a tree to use it as a battering ram. Nothing good is going on out there, but you do have a moment's reprieve, and you have a goblin.
Goblin, speak. Who is that out in the darkness?
That's out there. That's Nightblade. Have you Nightblade? She's a knight. with a blade. She's enslaved my whole tribe, the Varaguldra. The Varaguldra, that's what I am. And we don't want this fight. We don't want her. She's bleeding my people dry. I'm Shuglud.
Pekome holds her sword to the goblin and tells them to get rid of any weapons they have.
Okay. Shuglud might not look that terrified by Pekome holding a blade, if only he had seen the fight.
Hey!
But he was not
I did
below,
a
so
lot of damage.
And he does have a sort of a rusty sword, and he at the command. So he's not really lying still enough that the blade like comes to his throat. He'll shift away a little bit because he's got a self-preservation instinct. But at the command, he will, just nudge the sword away and go like, you need me, don't, listen, help me, and I can help you.
Why does the Nightblade want to come into this place?
Coldra sort of clears her throat and she goes, well, Nightblade, I think that pilgrim, that didn't he say that? It wasn't his mistress Nightblade? And her husband sort of nods grimly at that. And the goblin sort of reaches up and pulls on one of his ears and he goes, she's crazy, that's why, but she said something about curing her soul. Her soul is writhing, and she needs this place, and she'll be cured if she takes it, and she wants to take it from you.
Dane's gonna peer over the edge of the wall.
The gatehouse, the palisade, yeah,
and look for that figure in all armor.
Yeah, so the figure's still there. It's about maybe 30 yards away from the palisade wall. And it has not moved at all this entire time. But it's there. You can sort of indistinctly see it. It's just watching.
Keep in mind, this is something with actual armor, so if we tried to hit it, we probably wouldn't do any damage.
Heiko. May. Pekome, I whisper to you. Maybe we should leave this place.
We won't.
We do not need to.
Far with the wounds we have.
We do not need to die here.
Pekome is gonna look at Caldra. Do you have anything to help with the wounds we sustained? Helping you.
Holdra looks distrustfully at Meira upon hearing the question.
I was whispering.
Yeah, she even said out loud that she was whispering.
Yeah, sorry. Great point. Holdra doesn't. I mean, maybe she looks a little distrustfully, not knowing what was said, but knowing that something was said. At the question, she'll look you up and down, and she sees bloody streaks leaking from multiple places in Peka's armor. Kind of makes this
to stand tall.
Grim look. Says, well, I've got a potion or two that I might be able to give you, but you're looking in dire straits. Honestly, I think you need a medicus more than you need any potions. Not that there is one here. No, wait, just wait, and I'll see what I can find. And she turns and tracks her way down through the gatehouse and starts cutting back across towards the inn.
If Meira was to get on the building number 3, would she be able to
The stable.
help? Yeah, if she stood on the stable, would it be enough of a vantage point that she could do literally anything outside, like pointed outside? the
Yeah.
palisades?
So the stable we can say is quite a bit higher than the palisades.
Okay.
So from there, you would be able to shoot over the wall or shoot down onto the wall, and you would have advantage doing so.
You could also get on top of the roof of the gatehouse.
Meira has a feeling that the gatehouse is not going to be a gatehouse for much longer.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
So she's gonna be like, Peikome, good luck. And then she'll clap a hand on Dane's shoulder and say, and whisper,
Brother, if it looks like the armored one is going to fall, you run. Do not hesitate.
Dane's gonna nod at her and follow her.
Meira is gonna climb on top of the stable.
Yep.
All right, go ahead and move.
Yep.
What is Mangold doing?
So Mangold's just standing there right now. So there are 3 people still in the gatehouse. There's Shuglud, Mangold, and Peiko. And Shuglud's still kind of staring up after his offer.
Peiko
Waiting.
will slide the sword a bit
God.
further away, but put her sword away for the moment.
Okay. Shuglud lets you do that. And he kind of peeks back out over the palisade. And then looks to Peiko again. And he leans in a little bit and he says, hey, listen. There's a man out there. There's a man out there with a cauldron. He makes a cauldron. His name's Ashfaru. And Ashfaru makes poisons, and he makes poisons, and he makes drugs, and he makes drugs, and he makes us drink the drugs, and it makes the people do what she wants. It makes them do what Nightblade wants. If you kill him, I can take the goblins away. I can take the tribe. We'll go back into the forest. We'll go home. And you won't have to deal with us anymore.
Do you know where this man can be found?
He's out there. He should be, and he kind of hesitates out through the gatehouse. And it looks like he's looking off in a direction. People who aren't you would know that it's the direction where the figure was standing, but you don't even know there is a figure out there, aside from the statement that there's someone named Nightblade. And he's gonna just sort of nod out that way and then duck back into cover. And he goes like, he's near Nightblade. He's near her. He's got it's a big cauldron. It's hard to move.
And how would we stop him without engaging her?
Well, what do you gotta engage her. You're standing in a place that she wants.
Yes, but fighting her and him at the same time would only lead to trouble.
Well, he kind of looks this way and looks that, and he looks kind of blank. It's clear he's thinking, and it's clear that even if he's not hopped up on the concoction that all the other goblins are on, he is a little out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a couple seconds, then eventually he goes like, well, if they break through the gates and push inside, then maybe she goes in after the goblins. I don't think he would go in. Maybe he would, but maybe it'd be slower because he always keeps this cauldron and it's heavy. And she'd want to go in because she wants the pawn. So So maybe she goes in with the goblins and he's alone and we kill him.
Pekome looks over to Mangold. Would you be able to continue the defense if the gate fell?
Mangold kind of sticks his head out and stares down at the ground gate and then straightens up and looks back over. He goes, well, the inn's reinforced. We could hole up in there for a while.
Pekome nods and then looks to the goblin. Would you help me kill the man with the cauldron?
Yes, of course I would.
Alright, Mangold. Get everyone to regroup and barricade inside the inn. Once they break through, me and the little one will move around and catch this brewmaster unaware.
Mangold shrugs at that and nods and starts stomping off along the palisade, and pretty ponderous, but eventually he makes it downstairs and makes it out into the courtyard and makes it over to the inn and disappears, and you can presume that he's talking inside.
Meira is watching Mangold disappear, and she leans over to Dane and she says,
What? He is leaving. Should we? We need him to fight. The big one.
He's probably just saying something.
Oh, should we go? Should we go in there too?
I like up here.
Okay, we shall stay.
Alright. Pekome looks back to the goblin, and then she points off to the left corner of the palisade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Left from your perspective?
Yes.
Or okay, great.
I'm
Fantastic.
like facing outward.
Yeah.
And she says, I need to heal first, and then I will meet you over in that corner. Once they break through, we will drop down and move in behind them.
Yeah, okay, great. Kind of looks Peiko over dubiously. Then says, yep, good. We'll kill him and we'll go home. Good plan. Let's go there. And he skitters over to pick up his sword, grabs it, and starts scampering with a low profile to stay below the actual line of the palisade over to the corner. And there's a little more of a lull before the next wave of the assault begins, and that's where we'll take a break. Okay.
Yeah.
Break as in come back in a minute, or break as in done?
No. We'll just take like a very quick break, like 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
And if everyone's good to keep going, anyway.
I don't work tomorrow, so I can go as long as
I'm gonna go play with kitties.
Okay, yeah, play with kitties. Let's reconvene in like 5-ish minutes.
Okay.
we will be
Alright,
right
Look,
back.
if Pekome just wins one fight this whole entire session, we're good.
Yeah, we'll see.
And we are back. Please take us back into the scene, Obdurant.
Right. So we return to Jerak's heart, where our battered and broken party is spread through the palisade, and the door to the inn swings open for Holdra to step back outside. She's carrying a pair of flasks, and she'll walk over. It takes her a moment to squint through the area before actually spotting where Pekome has hunkered down.
She
Then
is
she'll
the
walk.
easiest one to spot. At least.
She is the easiest one to spot, which is why she does, manage to spot her. And she'll walk over to the palisade and ascend the steps, and sort of before offering out the elixirs, say, Mangold told me your plan, and I can't say that I like it that much, but things aren't exactly going our way, and I'm willing to try something instead of just sitting here and dying. So I'll give you these, but you in yours, and glances about, doesn't seem to spot the barbarian twins, looks back and says, you make sure we come out of this in one piece, all right?
Pekome is going to pull a silver signet ring out of her pouch and hold it out to Kuldra and say, "You have my word that I will protect you at the very most."
Just to be clear, is this
The one
the
that,
signet
yeah.
ring that her father gave
Yes.
her to get into Thistlehold?
Mhm.
Yeah. She kind of squints down at that, and she's like, I've already... Okay. Yeah, all right. She looks a little nonplussed, but she hands over one of the elixirs. And if you pop it and drink it, it tastes pretty bad. But it does give you...
Does it taste better than bleeding?
It does taste better than bleeding. And it regenerates... Why? Huh, okay, I have the wrong page here. It regenerates... One D8 of your health.
Is it plus anything or just 1d8?
Nope. It's flat.
Okay.
Go ahead and give that a roll. Hope that it's on the higher side.
Yeah.
Hey, there we
Nice.
go.
That is gonna help a lot.
Yeah, okay, good. So you are feeling much better now.
Standing much straighter.
Yeah. Okay. So it is. I mean, it's a just honestly a draught of pure relief that floods through your body. The pain dulls. Your wits sort of assert themselves a little more, and yeah, you feel better about things. Kuldra kind of studies you, notices the change in your posture, gives an approving nod, and then says, "Listen, I'm getting back to the inn. We're gonna defend the gatehouse a bit so that they don't just storm right over us, and then we're gonna fall back." She glances down at the goblin, at Shugglud, and kind of makes a little face and looks back up, and he says, "Listen, I hope you know what you're doing." And then she turns around and stalks down the stairs.
Pekome is gonna call out, "Make sure to get rid of that ladder. We don't want them to scale up the building."
She kind of makes a gesture over one shoulder. Keeps going. So, is there anything else you would like to do as the goblins begin massing outside the palisade again? Are you gonna talk to Meira and Dane, or are you gonna leave them on top of the stable for this?
Pekome will go to the edge of the gatehouse and call out to them.
Okay.
Do they respond?
What do you want us to do?
We're going to put up a token defense for the gatehouse, and then the rest of the palisade is going to fall back to the inn and defend it. Me and this she says, unsure, pointing down to something they probably can't see. We're gonna go around and try to get rid of the supply of what's corrupting these goblins. Whether the two of you want to defend or attack is up to you.
Should I join the others inside the inn?
You probably want to be able to shoot.
All right.
Dane.
And what does Dana say?
Dane will hold up his bow and...
You have a bow?
Yeah. Just hasn't had a chance to use it yet, but he's good at it.
Look, I knew you had a quiver. I didn't know you had a bow.
Yeah. With a +9, Dane can't actually miss when it comes to hitting goblins.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
We've seen him canoodle his quiver, but haven't seen him actually.
No.
Oh.
Canoodle. He just starts making out with the quiver. No wonder the spell won't work.
I'll just kind of point to Pecome and nod.
All right. Don't know if I saw that, but let's go.
All right.
So, Pecome will make her way towards the corner.
Okay. Shugled goes with you, and he hunkers down. And before long, the goblins arrive outside the gate again, and this time they're carrying a tree. It looks like pretty much all the goblins are engaged. A big tree. And they slam the hewn trunk side of it against the gates. And there's a forceful vibration that shakes through the palisade walls at that. Just like that, the siege is back on. So, Meira, you have a bow. Dane, you have a bow.
Yeah,
Both of
he's
you
got a
could
bow and a sling. He's gonna chuck rocks at them with his
Okay.
sling.
All
I
right.
will shoot with my bow.
Great. So if you guys want to do that, go right ahead.
Yes.
Give me an attack roll. So they don't have any defense to speak of. So you can each just make a ranged roll at some of the goblins.
Any disadvantage?
Yeah, they're
Nope.
still at 9? Or
Sorry?
no? Oh, are they not at 9?
10, you mean?
They
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're totally right. I mixed up their
These are super
uh,
goblins. We fought the easy ones.
the goblins. Yes. So you do have 9 to hit them.
Because they're... Yeah, okay.
You
Okay.
are
You know what?
a wonder.
One of you does damage. One of you does more damage with this attack than Peiko did in all of her turns. So, good job.
Not combined.
Yeah, combined. Because
No, I
you
got
did
like
such
2
low
5s
numbers.
and a 6.
But the resistance.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, okay. Anyway. Meira launches an arrow that sinks into the shoulder of one of the goblins, and it's kind of in the middle of the pack. And it kind of tumbles away from the battering ram as it is hit. Lets out this uncomfortable scream, and he goes, "Ah, I've been hit!" And it reaches up to the arrow and starts tugging at it, but it's sort of embedded in the armor. You can tell that the goblin isn't really close to dying. And after a moment, it gives up on tugging out the arrow and runs back into its spot. And they pull the trunk back, slam it into the gate again.
And then a rock bounces off the log.
Yeah, a rock hits someone else, but they don't even know.
Too drugged.
Too drugged. And battle, there's a lot going on. So they hit the gate again, and Mangold wanders out and just steps on the ladder and shatters it, crushes it in half.
Nice. Wait, now they have 2 ladders.
Now they have 2 ladders here. The goblins reach back and then just slam the battering ram into the gate again, and planks in the wooden gates splinter. It's still there, but it's clearly giving way. You guys can attack again.
This is why you can never beat a stick. There will always be more stick.
What a turn of fate here.
Dane was
So
just inspired.
I do damage for the first time.
you do damage.
He hits the arrow with his rock.
So another arrow flies free, but it catches a goblin in the head, and although that would normally be a good thing, it is wearing a helmet. And the arrow glances off to the side and doesn't seem to bother the goblin in the least, aside from an angry call that it shouts up at you. Meanwhile, Dane loads another stone into his sling and whips it down and catches another goblin. Sort of right on the bridge of the nose. And there's a crunching noise and a howl. And depending on just how... Well, the Sixth Sense probably doesn't really see things clearly, but there are some fires and torches around the area, so you probably see just a bloody nose, and it glares up. And then they rear back with the battering ram. They slam it into the gates again. And this time, a hole punches through. And one more blow, and the gates just explode open. And the goblins, in a frenzy, just pour out into the courtyard. And Mangold has since begun retreating for the gate, and he picks up into sort of a lumbering run at this point, makes it back in through the doors of the inn, and closes the door behind himself. As goblins start spilling through and just spreading out into all the open space on the ground floor, well, if anyone's looking outside, they'll see the figure
Anyone.
that's watching just begin advancing for the... And as soon as Peiko sees that, and as soon as Shugled sees that, he reaches out and he wraps her armored forearm. Says, "That's it. I told you it would work. We gotta go now. We gotta get them before they kill everyone."
Peiko looks down at the goblin and nods, and she whispers, "I'm not exactly subtle. Stay hidden until the fight starts."
Shugled peers up at her and then just kind of shrugs and says, "Whatever."
And then she's going to try and drop down.
Okay. Yeah. So you could do that. It's a little bit of a fall. I'd say it's somewhere in the order of 12 feet.
Yeah, but I'm half of that.
Yeah. You're also wearing a lot of armor.
It'll absorb the blow. That's how it works.
Okay. Right. Of course.
Yeah, I just went into shock absorption mode. You just gotta tuck and roll, right?
Is that how it works? Tuck and roll?
It's not like plate mail. It's mostly leather with like metal toppings.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, you're set. You can drop, let's see, meters fallen. That would be 3. So test against quit.
Is there a disadvantage or anything?
No. Although, actually, it does say armor protects as usual against damage from falling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shock
Well,
absorption mode, Kevin. God.
so you don't take any from that fall because you can subtract 3 meters. And, there were only 3 meters, so you're fine. Good job. You've landed at the bottom of the wall, there are goblins and a figure that's you can actually see now that is approaching the gate, and it is a foreboding figure indeed. It's pitch black armor. It's tall. It's vaguely feminine, and she's not looking at you, so you can't see much beyond that. But there's sort of this sense of just dread that accompanies her.
Mm-hmm.
And as she approaches the gate, you are free to move.
Do I see this other person, or
Nope.
do I hear from the goblin like where to go?
Nope. I mean, you can kind of infer
Mm-hmm.
the direction that she's coming from, given that she's moving towards the gate from a particular angle, but you can't see into the darkness beyond that, right?
All right. Well, then we'll start moving, and on an oblong around path.
Okay, so we'll say you use both of your actions to move sort of in a curving path that way. And as you start getting on, you do begin to see a figure sort of standing over a very large black cauldron. So back in the fort, we have Dane and we have Meira. What are you doing with all of these goblins and soon to be armored figure coming into the courtyard of the inn?
Fire at will.
You so wanted to say run.
Okay. You fire at will. So let's say that you hone in your sights on the goblin that still has an arrow sticking out of his shoulder. Give me an attack roll.
Okay, I shall strike.
I believe in you. This is your moment. You can't mess this up.
Oh, there you go.
See?
That's a crit.
I like that was a crit fail, but it's still a hit
Yeah, thank God for that +9.
because your threshold is
Oh,
so that's fine. It's a hit. You do 9 damage against 3, which is 6 damage. It was already hit for 4, which means you kill him. Good job, Stella. You killed something.
yes! I have the first kill of the game.
You do have the first kill of the game.
One goblin defeated.
All right. Describe how your arrow takes this little goblin out.
So she hits a goblin, and then she tries again, glances off the helmet, and she knocks an arrow. She draws her string back, and then she aims it up, her tongue sticking out just a little, and then fa-dunk, it flies through the air, cuts, whistling, and then it gets the goblin right in the eyepiece, right between the visor of the helmet. Pierces eye and
Right
brain.
between the eyes.
So the goblin is storming in along with everyone. That ecstatic howl as he's in the courtyard, and he's like, "We're in!" He tilts his head back, and then the arrow just takes him, flops right over, and he's dead on the spot. And some of the neighboring goblins look down at him, and then they look up, and it seems they now realize there are people on top of the stable. Dane, do you also want to go ahead and attack?
He's gonna donk one right on the head.
Dunk a fat
That's
rock.
confident. All right, you did.
I mean, he did dunk him.
And then he's gonna withdraw off the roof over here.
Did you just
Well-
jump over the wall?
That far?
I mean, isn't it just, the same as over here?
Are you vaulting the edge of the palisade?
I mean, is it the same distance as, is it?
Yeah, it'll be the same height. It'll just be 3 meters.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay. Test against quick. Great.
Oh my god.
You don't take any damage. Good job.
You just hear like a thunk behind you. But
Okay.
he's fine.
Yeah. Meira just sees this stone whistle ineffectually out to hit a goblin. And then here's the thud behind her. A couple arrows come flying out of the inn, and they catch goblins here and there, but they don't fell any. Some of the goblins start running up the gatehouse stairs here, to dear, to get higher, and the figure of night draws near and that's Peiko might notice that she's being shadowed by the her fellow goblin companion, or not. He's far more nimble and stealthy than she is, and it's back to her turn.
All right. How far away is Cauldron Man?
Cauldron Man is within a move.
So I can move and attack.
Yes, you can move and attack on him.
All right, then I will do just that.
Okay, so as you move into range of him, you do notice there's a red haze in the air. And just in breathing, you notice something is happening.
I blame the necromage for this.
Yeah, so funnily enough, it can't completely happen to you because you die. But transfer 2 points from your discreet to quick. 2 points from cunning to strong, and 1 point from resolute to accurate.
Because he can't.
Because you
afford
can't
any
transfer
more.
2, yeah. Because you die. And we're not...
Said accurate? Okay.
Yeah.
My resolute's very good right now.
Yeah, I bet it's great. So those changes happen. You start feeling a little wild inside. You're riled up, and it makes you feel pretty strange. And you're in range. You're in room to attack this guy who looks up, and he looks not entirely surprised that you're there, not entirely aware that you're there, but pretty angry.
Just to make sure, there were no like resist checks for that, right?
Nope. No
Okay.
resist checks.
Well, moment of stab. So, what's the disadvantage? -7?
So is 0.
0? Okay. Well, what?
Why does it?
That doesn't seem right.
I mean,
Yeah.
his attribute is 16. He rolled an 8.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
it bugged out?
It
It's
just
because
bugged
he
out.
wrote +0. So it did 16
Oh, you
plus
killed
0.
the math. Gotcha.
I didn't write anything. I backed out of the 0, and then I was like, oh, I'll just hit go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's because it didn't have a value in the spot. But anyway, you rolled a 16, or you rolled an 8, and the goal was 16. So you hit. You do 2 damage, which doesn't hurt him.
Does he have visible armor on?
So he's wearing a gown that has padding here and there, and your armor scrapes along the padding. It looks pretty insubstantial. It looks pretty similar to something Kory might wear.
I just rolled like a weakling.
Yeah, you rolled like a little pansy.
Man, maybe before I die, I'll get like 1 damage 10, and it'll just.
I wouldn't really hold my breath at this point. Who knows?
All right. Well, hero goblin time.
Yeah. Let me just add this dude to the old.
Oh, I'm
Is
gonna
your
need you
accurate
to.
6?
What?
Has your
I don't use
accurate?
accurate.
I know, but has your accurate been 6 this whole time?
Well, no, all of my stats just changed. Remember?
It was 5, but he inhaled a drug that shifted some of his stats around.
Okay.
I think it was 5 before, right?
Yeah, because you said
Because
take
he used dumb
1
stat.
from or 2 from discreet, and that went into quick.
Yep.
And then the 1 from resolute went into accurate.
Went to accurate, correct.
And then it was the 2 from cunning that went to strong.
Correct.
Yeah, because I was at 9 cunning.
Let me
Also,
just add
I need
Nightblade.
you to change my initiative. My quick is now 15.
Yeah. I mean, good point. I'm not going to change it on the turn order just because turn order is fixed after it starts. But are right. That it is better. How do I spell sugar?
I was gonna ask, like, as soon as he said his name, but I was like, I'm
I
not
spelled
gonna do
it
that to Kevin.
SHUGLUD.
Not enough
I
G's,
thought there were
not
two
enough
G's.
D's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the goblin, Stella.
Nightblade, what is your wick? 11. All right, fantastic. So you have gone, and Nightblade will pass into the courtyard and look around as she sees arrows coming from the inn. She'll start marching that way. Meira, you get a chance to kind of see her a little more closely than other people do. Up close, well, relatively up close. She's quite visibly blight-stricken. She's wearing a helmet, and she's wearing this black-clad fortified chainmail that's quite intimidating, honestly. From the eyes in her helmet, and even not directly on, because she isn't looking up at you, you see a red glow come from her eyes. They've been completely changed by the corruption in her. And as she passes below the stable, you smell this sort of sulfurous odor. It's rank. It's foreboding, and she marches by without even a glance up at the stables.
The smell of rotten eggs.
Yeah. It's Meira's turn.
I believe in you, Archer Lady. Also, your brother did.
Meira gets the sense that she might not be able to defeat the Nightblade. Meira.
So he went over the wall, correct?
Yeah, he's on the ground outside of the inn.
Okay.
Outside of the palisade for the inn.
Meira is going to take a shot at. Can she see the guy with the cauldron?
They had good vision. I don't think she has the dim light, but
So roll me a vigilant -2 to see if you can tell where he is.
definitely
roll.
not.
Okay, you cannot make out where he is quite.
Shoot the knight and run.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to shoot the knight and then run.
All right, go ahead and take a shot at Nightblade.
Yeah, this'll end well.
What's
I
the
believe in you.
disadvantage?
So her defense is 0.
So no disadvantage.
Correct.
So just 0.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay, give me another roll. Okay, good. So you
That's a
just
good-
miss. Your arrow goes whistling over Nightblade's shoulder, thudding into the ground between her and the inn.
okay, bye.
Man, it's a really good thing that you did that vigilant check instead of the attack first, because that would have been a double crit failure.
Let's not talk about that.
Wow. Yeah, that would have been crazy. Okay, so the arrow thuds into the ground in front of her. She doesn't break stride, but she does glance over her shoulder to see Meira running along the spine of the roof of the barn, and then just leaping out of the palisade.
Does Dane catch her?
So give me a quick roll.
Okay. Flat?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay, so you take 3 damage mitigated by armor.
Okay.
So you roll your whatever your armor block is.
1d4, yeah.
Do I roll the armor itself or just roll a 1d4?
You can just roll 1d4. Yeah. Okay, so you don't take any damage. You're fine.
Oh, thank god, I have 4 hit points.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if you rolled a 1, you would have been fine.
Yeah, but I need every single one of those hit points, I think.
Okay, so Meira lands outside. It is Ashfaru's turn. Ashfaru glances up at the sight of Pekeme approaching and then swinging a sword at him. He's unimpressed.
Rude.
He kind of takes a second to gather himself, and he's holding a spear that he uses to potentially just lean on as he does something else. I need to pull up the card for this.
A spear that he uses to, and then
Bonk
potentially
you?
leans on.
Destroy.
Yeah.
Destroy.
I'm going to assume you said stir the cauldron.
I think he's thinking.
So, I'm actually just reading.
I'm sure fighting this guy was a good idea.
Yeah. We'll just say he attacks you for now. So
Okay.
he's gonna stab at you. Give me a defense roll. Enemy disadvantage of 1.
Plus or minus?
Disadvantage of 1. Positive 1. Which makes it
Enemy hit damage negated 8.
not easier enough. But yeah, so he stabs, he gets under your shield, but the head of his spear kind of catches on your breastplate and grates across it in a pretty loud noise that doesn't actually penetrate to hurt you, fortunately.
Oof, it is a close one.
All right, it's Dane's turn.
Thank God for man at arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dane is just going to slink along though not really slinks, but shield along the edge of the palisade and look for Pekame and head in that direction.
Sounds great. All right, back to the top of the turn. There are goblins aplenty inside the inn.
None of us
Within
can
moments, you start hearing human screams and goblin screams from within. There's stuff going on in there, but it's hard to tell what because you've all run away. It's also Shuglad's turn.
I believe in him.
Shuglad dashes up to the opposite side of Ashfaru.
Flank bonus, revenge!
Yes, you now have advantage on fighting. He has a weapon, and he attacks Ashfaru, but doesn't quite manage to get through the defensive warding action of his spear haft.
Rip.
Back to Pekome.
But now I get flank bonus.
You do, so you get a +2 to your damage and your attack.
So
And since you had a, so now it's an attack with an enemy disadvantage of +2. And we'll just add 2 to
so 10 damage.
Okay, so you deal 10 damage. It is reduced by 2 because of his armor, so you deal 8 damage, which doesn't kill him, but it does pass his pain threshold. So you can choose to knock him down or attack again as a free action.
I'm going to attack again, but what does knocking down do?
Knocking down, so it does 2 things. While someone is knocked down, anyone attacking them has advantage, which you already have. Flanking, but not. Additionally, to get up, you need to pass a quick test. So it's a move action to get up, and when you do it, you pass a quick test. If you don't succeed in the test, you get up, but it takes both of your actions. If you succeed, you get up, but you still have your combat action.
So it would be a good defensive action, not a good offensive action.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hindering thing, right?
That he won't get to attack back.
Right. But if you want to kill him, just, use the free
I'm
action.
going to attack. Alright, so that's 9 damage this time.
Okay, so you open him up. You have, well, go ahead and describe how this pair of attacks cuts open this renegade witch.
After the near wound of the spear grating against her armor, and then the sudden assistance of Shuglad, Pekome finds the opening before he can retract his spear to properly defend, and jamming the sword into like his lower side, she then puts all her strength and cleaves him in half.
Cleaves him in half. Jesus. Okay, great work. You have killed Ashfaru. Ashfaru is super dead.
Hey, he's half dead at least.
There's fire visible over the edge of the palisade.
Is talking a free action?
Talking is a free action.
All right, Shuglud, he's gone. You got to get these goblins out of here now.
Yeah. So the moment Ashfaru dies, there's this reddish mist that has been roiling out of the cauldron, and it's been difficult to notice because you've been in the middle of pitched combat.
Yeah, I just thought that was like rage.
You do notice that it starts to dissipate, and you feel a little weird. Your kind of heightened state of distraction and wanting to kill things is still there, but it's not there quite as much as it was. And Shuglud doesn't appear all that affected, but again, he seemed odd from the onset. The sounds inside the palisade are quite different. And over the course of a few seconds, goblins start poking their head out of the gatehouse. And Shuglud dashes over to him. And he starts shouting something in a different language. And then you hear a harsh female voice inside. And it sounds very angry and a little confused. And then goblins just start streaming out of the gatehouse. And there are 12 goblins that are still up. Some of them are wounded, some of them are bleeding, but all of them look a little more collected, if not entirely whole of mind. But they run out, they take notice of Pekome, they might take notice of Dane, but they don't seem interested in fighting anymore. And they run away, they run for the forest, they'll be in vision for the next couple turns. But they are on their way out and they don't appear to have any interest in fighting.
Is Shuglud running with them?
Shuglud is gone. Yep. He is running with them. He does not want to help.
As he leaves, Pekome is just going to shout, "Remember the name Pekome Bore."
Shuglud looks back at you. Doesn't say anything. Keeps running.
Look, I had to advertise.
Yeah, no, of course. Of course.
Also, you gave me 16 strong, so of course I was cleaving that guy in half.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. So that was it for my turn.
Yes. So your turn is over. There's still, there are goblins streaming out of the palisade. This is going to take a couple turns, but there's still the sounds of conflict coming from within. It's Meira's turn.
Meira will run up to her brother.
And Dane's just gonna kind of keep heading for this stream of goblins and the ruined gate too.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
That's gonna be kind of where.
And Pekome will
Plan
make
is
her way
to head up.
back.
Okay. So Pekoma. So we'll go through Meira, Dane. Okay. We'll just we'll say that you guys sort of join each other outside the gate,
Okay.
Yeah.
which
You
is
see-
shattered open. Maybe we'll just not have lines since she's an archer.
Let's just
No!
right over here.
So you look
far forward
through the gate, and the roof of the inn is on fire. The door to the inn has been battered down. And there's a body in the doorway, although it's difficult to tell just who it is. Nightblade has retreated to right about here on the battle map.
Where?
Ping again. Here.
Okay, in the center.
Yeah, the middle of that. And she's fighting Mangold, but as you look in, she basically impales him on her sword, which is a fairly intimidating sword. It's a blackened steel sword, and now that it's drawn, it seems to be humming a chilling melody of sorts. But as she impales him, the sound just picks up into this hymn of violence, and flames sort of lick the blade. And the ogre howls as its chest burns, and it falls to the ground and dies. I am going to require each of you to make a resolute test.
Nice.
B, have fun.
Oh yeah, so it's resolute -1.
Okay, so
So,
B can't
alright.
pass.
So V can't pass.
You don't even need to roll.
Mhm.
Okay. I passed.
Okay, very good. Where
Meira
did you
did
roll?
not pass.
I
What,
didn't
like,
because it was.
Roll down. Scroll down. You're stuck up, I think, there, Kevin.
The last rolls for my scroll log are his attacks. Let me reload roll 20.
We got a Dane roll or attribute 14, roll 6 success, and Meira rolled attribute 9.
Yeah, I must have
roll
been like
12
disconnected.
failure.
or something. Yeah, I can see it now that I've reloaded, but I've got to wait 10 seconds before I can see anything else.
Mhm.
Okay, fantastic. So, Pekome and Meira, you have lost your next turn of combat.
Okay.
Oof.
Dane, you haven't.
Okay.
So that's good. It is the head of the turn order, so Pekome gets skipped. Nightblade turns to regard you three and starts marching closer. She's going to draw up in front of Peko and attack. Now you've lost your turn, but you still get free reaction, so you can defend. So roll to defend at 0.
Oh. Enemy hit damage negated 3 by 1.
Yeah, that was close. Okay.
My defense is even improved
The
too.
damage that she deals
There's a lot.
is 6.
Okay, so then I take 3.
Yeah.
Also, my
Let's
pain
see.
threshold increased thanks to you.
Yeah. So we won't have her use the flames just because.
Yeah, the flames for killing blows, isn't it?
Yeah, the flames are killing. How much HP do you have right now?
7.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's fine.
I got that massive heal from the potion.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
you had a second potion.
No, she
no.
never gave me the
She
second one.
only gave him one.
She was like, "This is my potion," so
Okay.
I can get it.
So she attacks you and does that much damage, and it is then Meira's turn, but she's skipped. It is Dane's turn.
Dane drops his sling, readies his quarterstaff, and goes to flank.
You don't really have to drop a sling. You could just like slip it into a belt hook pretty easily.
Okay, so you are flanking her now.
Yeah, but that's my whole turn. Like, I have to
Yeah.
ready the quarterstaff.
Yeah,
so-
that's fine. So you're now in a flanking position. Head of the turn order. Pekome, it's your turn.
All right, hey, I'm really good at flanking.
Yeah, so you can attack with a bonus of 2. Her defense is 0, so enemy disadvantage of 2.
Attack hit 9 damage plus 2, so 11.
Nice, 11 damage. Very nice.
I thought the flank was an extra 1d4 for us.
Oh yeah.
We've not-
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
got stuck
I mean,
on
I'm
the
fine
NPC
with-
version of it.
I'm fine with plus 2 average.
Yeah, but
But-
it's,
yeah.
Go ahead and roll one.
I'm fine with what it had been.
Yeah.
Like,
All right, so you get 12 damage,
yes.
mitigated by 4.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say like 10. Is that her?
So you
pain
deal
threshold?
8 damage. She's hot. So it does hit the pain threshold.
All right.
What would you like to do?
We already have advantage,
Yep.
Knock
So
us down.
roll to attack.
but I am going to force her to roll and knock her down.
Oh, you knock her down. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd rather force her to succeed a roll than
yeah.
do another attack.
Yeah. So NPCs don't roll.
Right, I know, but
So I'll just need to look up what it does. She does when she tries it.
Hmm.
So you've knocked her down. It is her turn.
so how this looks is Dane gets behind her. She like quickly glances to the side after skimming Pikome's like left side, and then before she can react, Pikome swings for the legs and knocks her down.
Great. So she lets out this grunt as she falls down. She kind of catches herself on an elbow, but it's a jarring fall, and your blade cut clean through a few links of her chainmail, reinforced though it is. And this liquid sort of seeps out through her armor, and you know it's blood, but it doesn't look like blood. It's black, and there are these streaks of this sickly light yellow in it. She's clearly unwell, and she's going to stagger to her feet.
Since I knocked her down, do I do the roll?
Yeah, I don't know. Not no.
Or is it... Oh, this is how we learn.
Yeah. I'm looking it up real quick.
Rule question about fallen enemies.
Oh, hey, you can delay actions in this.
Yeah, but it's a permanent. If you delay, you shift where you are in the order, and you do not go back ever.
Okay, so it's basically like if I didn't want to be first, and I chose to be. Do you choose like which position you delay to, or till the end?
Yeah, so you can choose where you delay.
Okay.
So basically, you guys are reorder your initiative.
Like if it, because they may want me to go first, so I can get in front.
All right.
Which shouldn't normally be a concern because I am very fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just using a new system. I looked at so many things to try to make sure I'd know most of the things that come up, but
Also, of course, this is such our luck. We can't even kill one goblin during the first fight.
right, you're basically two-shotting the big. What the heck?
It was the long con. We were hustling her.
Lowering that guard.
She was like, these guys are incompetent.
I'd say for now, just let her stand up. Like,
Yeah. I'll
well,
just
because
say.
I mean, it feels cheap to like take the action for free. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, knock on wood, but we're doing okay right now.
Would it be like under health, like in the rulebook near health, like where it says?
What I'm reading
pain
is
threshold?
on Reddit is just that basically some people are like, it's been asked once and it got answered when it was asked as one person either saying some things there's not really a rule about the NPC standing, the NPC needs to make this roll essentially. In some situations there are rules or abilities that just need a dice roll. And it's up to you whether the players roll for the NPC or you do. And
I'll just.
yeah. Another quick way to hand wave it is to say that an NPC above quick, with quick above 10 stands up as a movement action. Otherwise, it takes their whole turn.
Yeah, that's a reasonable.
Yeah.
That is a reasonable.
And maybe one day we'll find like
solution.
find,
Okay,
like, the
so
text.
Nightblade has a quick of 11.
Mhm.
I will roll 20. Okay. So she stands up, and she basically staggers to her feet, sets her shoulders, and grits her teeth. And then she's going to lock eyes with Pekome, and as a free action,
Oh god, no. Please no, Resolute.
use Dominate.
Oh no, that sounds resolute-y.
So you need to fortunately for you, oh no, not fortunately for you.
No.
Yeah, you're gonna roll Resolute against Persuasive. So your enemy disadvantage is -5,
So
which makes the roll straight impossible.
I have a question.
Sure.
For leader, that's only if I'm using magic, right? It's not like other people using magic against.
I'll take a look, but
I
fairly
remember
certain
looking at
it's
that.
where
It's,
you
yeah,
when
it's only
you use.
yeah.
Yeah, your strong personality allows you to use persuasive instead of resolute when weaving mystical powers. So these are being weaved upon you.
And this isn't a physical effect, so I can't use steadfast.
Right.
Later on, I think you can.
So she's making you hesitate, which means you will not attack the character this turn.
Okay.
If possible. Oh.
If possible, I stab Meira.
If possible, you attack one of your allies instead.
Well, so it is Meira's turn, then Dane's turn.
Yeah,
but wait, what about if possible?
Well, not my turn.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So on Pekome's turn,
yeah. Okay.
she will attack one of you too, if Nightblade is still alive.
Can you tell us what this looks like when this domination
Yeah, I
happens?
can. Oh yeah, it's not even Meira's turn because that's a free action.
Oh god.
Yeah. So you know what? That seems crazy.
What?
I think I must be reading this wrong.
What do you think you're reading wrong?
The character can, as a free action and with a successful roll, force an enemy to hesitate in melee combat. A hesitating enemy will not attack the character this turn. If possible, it attacks one of the character's allies instead.
Oh, that
You
would
think
mean
that
I would
just
attack
means
one of
she-
Nightblade's allies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah, because I
You
don't want to fight
attack.
that person.
You
out
don't
of-
attack one of your friends.
Yeah.
Which is great. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though she's ditched me twice, I
So-
didn't want to stab her.
There's this awful sulfurous stench around Nightblade that only gets worse when she starts bleeding. But even so, she cuts a terrifying figure. As
Well, I
she
mean, wouldn't it make it scarier?
staggers. Well, I don't know. Kind of your reaction to sulfur, really. She staggers back to her feet, and she just sets this baleful glare upon you. And her eyes, I mean, they're glowing and they're red, and she's clearly racked with corruption. She's almost the embodiment of corruption, although she still seems sentient enough not to be an abomination. And you have no resolve right now, as it happens. And the stare that she levels upon you turns your bones to ice and steals the breath from your chest. And you're paralyzed.
Pekome takes a half step backwards before she can no longer move, just cowering behind her own shield.
Mm-hmm. And she, Nightblade, advances upon Pekome and lashes out with her sword.
Alright, defense time.
So yeah, go ahead and roll defense.
Realizing who the true threat is very quickly.
-2? Or what was it? -1? Or 0? I don't remember.
0. 0? Yeah, 0.
Enemy miss.
Wow. All right.
I'm very
she
quick.
lashes out, and Pekome is frozen and does not move. But the blade, the awful singing blade, scrapes along the edge of the shield. It
So
is
like Peikome's fear. She wildly brings up her shield, just barely sliding the blade to the side.
Perfect. I like it. Meira's turn.
I shall shoot with my bow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get flanking from bows?
Oh, you only get flanking if you're flanking.
So
So
can you flank with a?
I think flanking's just meant to be like a melee kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it comes into the ranged attack.
Okay, I use my bow.
It doesn't say you have to be melee. It says to flank an enemy already engaged in melee with a combatant allied to you, to the flanking person.
So under the quick guide, this gives both flanking allies the advantage against their enemy. You
Yeah,
only get
so
flanking when
if you're
flanking.
in melee range, like you have advantage on your melee attacks, but
Okay.
she's not flanking. She's not melee.
Right.
So
Alright,
just a regular
moving
attack.
on.
No defense.
So
for
0?
her. 0. Yeah. Excellent. So you hit her, and an arrow goes flying into her thigh. It punches through the armor that's clad over her leg, and it does some damage. It doesn't do an incredible amount of damage, but it does some. So 8-1.
Alright. And now it's time for David to defeat Goliath.
It's Dane's turn.
Okay, so I'm flanking, so I give the enemy
Plus
disadvantage
2
of
and
2.
then 1d4.
Okay, so I just write in 2 there. Close.
Sorry,
Why does your roll look so weird?
what did you do?
It's because his name's really long.
Did it
I
always-
attacked with a quarterstaff and missed.
Okay.
He doesn't
All right,
have a
that's
space.
cool. That's fine. That's okay. Okay, so we cycle through to Pikeme's turn. You're probably just holding fast, right?
Well, I had to get.
Yeah, I mean, you could walk away and trigger a free attack, which is why I'm asking.
I'm
That's
not
all.
gonna do that.
Great, I approve. She's going to attack you again, seeing as the quarterstaff did not do all that much damage to her.
Clunk.
None.
So go ahead and roll me your defense at 0.
Oof. Getting close.
Excellent. Okay, so you block again. It's her turn is over. It's Meira's turn.
And I can finally
Did
attack
you get
again.
to- Could she do the dominate repeatedly?
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't have.
She-
You know.
She doesn't, but it's mentally taxing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a free action. So she could.
I mean,
Yes.
you also wouldn't think like, all right, this person's hesitating and only defending. I'm gonna make them hesitate again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she could feasibly say
Meira knocks back an arrow and it goes wide.
feels free. Okay. Dane.
Let's see.
I believe in you, Dane.
I hit 3 instead of 2, so. Oh no, I didn't.
I don't think it mattered.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Okay. So the quarterstaff just sort of clunks against one of her armored shoulders and then slides off. And it's back to Peiko.
Okay, that's why it looked so weird, because it didn't show your quarterstaff last time.
Oh, interesting. I don't know why.
So if you'd like to attack, you do have advantage.
So I get the +2. Please don't miss.
Okay.
But 1d4 could still do damage.
Yeah, you could do a point of damage. You don't.
Still getting over the
Who
terror.
jinxed us?
Still
Okay.
getting over the terror.
So you attack, and she just derisively bats your sword aside, and sets up to riposte.
When I said we were doing pretty good, I did knock on wood, so it's not my
You
fault.
ruined it,
Did
Kory.
Has she said anything during this fight?
She has not said a word.
All right. Well, I'm ready to get stabbed. Want me to roll defense?
Yes, I would like you to roll defense.
This is basically like a one-on-one duel with other people trying to shank her during it.
It's like Star Wars when the energy beams come down, and Qui-Gon Jinn is fighting Darth Maul on his own as Ben Kenobi watches on.
Yeah. Well, no. C-3PO's there for some reason, and then there's some person with a blaster that occasionally gets like a shot in the leg.
So you rolled defense. All right, Meira hits. 3 damage is absorbed by the armor, unfortunately.
Think.
Just go into melee range.
Why?
Does she have a melee weapon though to use in melee?
Dane, it is your turn.
Also, if Stella gets poked, he's out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
Hey.
you're supposed to move.
See, I always believed in you. I don't know why it says with.
Flash roll. Because
yeah,
that's
to
all
roll
it's done
1d4?
so far.
2.
7.
Okay, so you deal 7 damage. That's mitigated, but it's only mitigated by 4, which means you deal 3 damage,
Bunker on the back of the helmet.
and that brings the total damage you guys have done to 12, which means you're still alive.
Bunker on the back of the head.
She reels, honestly. She pitches forward, and for a moment it looks like she's going to collapse into Pekome, but she catches herself and sort of heavily drags herself back up into an erect position.
So what you're saying is this is the perfect time to strike.
It is the perfect time for Pekome to attack.
All right. Hey, if I roll a 2, it's at least 1 damage. Oh wait. I have to hit roll 1d4. She has 5 armor, right?
No, she only has 4 armor. You do 1
Okay.
damage and it kills her.
Ah!
So, so like it isn't like a clean or a strong cut. It's more like their blades lock, and then Pekome's sword just barely slides through and clips her in the neck.
Yeah. So as the tip of your blade catches her in the neck, it runs along old wounds. It might have been difficult to see before this because of her armor, but her head tips back as she tries to pull and fails to pull away from your blow. And there are pustules along her neck and wounds, and your blade opens them all. And there's this gout of unhealthy blood that spills over the front of her armor, and she finally gives up and collapses to the ground and dies.
I'm sorry for your pain.
The inn is burning behind you. It doesn't look as though anyone's it. So you're left standing over the body of this dead woman, clad in black armor, with a sword that has been at times humming, at times singing an uneasy and unnerving tune. But as Nightblade dies, it goes quiet. And it appears that combat is over. You are free to search bodies, to loot, to do whatever you'd like.
Can I wrap the sword up in cloth?
You could absolutely take the sword and wrap it up and keep it with you.
Pekome, what are you doing?
There's something off about this sword. We need to find someone who might know more about it.
Throw it
She doesn't-
into the pool. We are
That-
not taking that with us.
Who knows what that would do to the water? There has to be someone
Who knows what
can
it will do to
dispose of
you?
this properly. I don't intend to use it.
It doesn't matter if you use it. It might corrupt you from proximity.
Pekome is just gonna.
Also,
Nice.
that building is on fire.
Yes.
Dane's gonna. I mean, it doesn't look
Oh God, you
like
flipped.
anyone's. But yeah, I'm facing the other way.
How do I not astrogrid? There we go.
Dane's just gonna kind of check on the inn and then maybe see if there's any horses in the stable or anything.
Did you check if there were survivors first?
Yeah, I would. No, I mean it's fucking nobody's coming out of that thing. And she already came out of it after killing the person who was in the doorway and then killing the giant ogre. If she killed the giant ogre, no, I'm not checking for survivors.
Is the door open?
The door is in pieces. You could enter. The structure's beginning to look increasingly unsteady.
It's dodgy.
Can we see
It
the
is quite
person who
dodgy.
was in the doorway now?
Part of them, which is to say they're burning. But as you get closer, you can tell that it is almost assuredly Coldra.
Meira watches her brother kind of look towards the inn and then change his mind and go towards the stable, and she's kind of looking between the two of them, and she like takes a half step forward towards the inn. You see her kind of like leaning over, trying to peer in through the door. Then she leans back, clearly not interested in going in there, but her eyes go straight to Pekome.
Did anything weird happen when I picked up the wrapped up sword? Did I feel anything strange or anything?
You may have felt a little tug
Corruption.
emotionally. In fact, hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Resolute.
You have no resolve. You're holding this sword, and it is yours. You fought and bled and nearly died for this sword. And frankly, that coward Meira left you behind when you were being attacked by the white, tried to run on so many different occasions. Now she doesn't want you to have that sword. That sword is yours by blood and by right, and you will be damned before you let anyone lay a hand on that before you do, and you want to lay a hand on it.
Well, did she have like any sort of sheath or anything, or did she just like freehand it the whole
She
time?
does have a sheath. Yep.
All right. Well, then I will attempt to pick up the sheath and the sword and put them together.
Okay. You kneel down and start unbuckling the sheath from Nightblade's side. It doesn't look much like the sword. You can tell it's just a sheath. So, that's normal. You take it, you put it on. You're unwrapping the sword and sheathing it normally, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's my sword.
Okay, it is your sword. Would you like to bond with it?
It's my
The
sword.
answer is yes, you would like to. Are you going to bond with it?
It's my sword.
Okay, so you take a point of permanent corruption. I will fill out
Would have
the-
fucking thunk it.
nature of this artifact for you later, but it is yours. It is
Yeah.
called Black Gift.
What's in the stables?
So there are a couple horses. There's actually just one horse, in fact, in the stables.
How big is it?
It's a stallion. Honestly. It's not the biggest stallion, but it could probably handle 2 people with ease, or all of your gear with ease. It has a very foppish horse hat on, with a very foppish feather.
Oh. We never did find out where he went, but I assume it's in the inn. Yeah, Dane's gonna just start leading the horse away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've taken the horse. Are you going to do anything else as a group?
I need to get my ring back, so Pekome is going over to Culture.
Oh my god.
Look-
You monster!
I'm not exactly in my normal state of mind right now.
You're not. It's
Meira will go over to the shrine and check out the shrine. She
Okay.
steps over the body. No, she gives a very wide berth between herself and the dead body of Nightblade.
mm-hmm.
Very suspicious. I mean,
That
superstitious.
makes a lot of sense, to be honest.
Mhm.
So you reach the shrine, and you can tell that it is a shrine to Prius. What is Meira's relationship with Prius?
Her relationship would probably be whatever the barbarians would do.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the barbarians are very diverse when it comes to accepting the Ambrian religion. Most of them don't care. Prius worship is probably a little more common in Odiava than other clans, but by no means is it the majority. There's too much respect for the witches to really give that much weight to Prius. But yeah, I mean, you can make out the symbols of Prius on it, and that it's quite an old shrine. It was probably built 5-10 years ago, something like that. And it's in a state of disrepair. A lot of the parts that were broken away have been swept clean, and there's kind of half of a face that looks down upon the water.
There's a face that looks down at the water?
Yeah, so the shrine is somewhat broken, but like you
Ah.
can still make out half of a face of some kind of figure that was looking down at the water, which is just north of the shrine.
Is there a
Hmm.
place here where they chop firewood?
So you see the stack of firewood just north of Picome there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's
That's
also
not
on
the
fire.
door? Oh, okay. But is there? Is there an axe that's not on fire?
Yes, you can find an
Oh, God.
axe. Are you going to desecrate? Wait, what happened? Oh,
no. Dane isn't going to desecrate.
Someone
any
dragged
bodies.
the entire map.
yeah, that was me.
Okay.
Dane's
I didn't.
going to get someone else to desecrate a body.
Oh, I
Uh,
thought you were desecrating.
Meira will abandon the shrine, uninterested. She'll have a
Mhm.
peek at the pool as she's walking by.
Yeah, Dane gets said axe and chases after Meira.
What?
Oh god.
Why are you running with that sharp object, brother?
Didn't mother tell you not to run with axes?
We don't know what that thing is. The sword.
Are we going to chop off Pecome's arms?
Can you get that witch's head?
Give me the axe. I am not going to touch the witch.
You need to get the witch's head.
You need to give me the axe.
Dane gives her the axe.
Okay, you get the witch's head.
We need.
And I shall.
Dane agrees.
Okay. So I guess Meira will behead the witch with Dane's help.
Yeah, I already started it.
Yeah.
I made
So
your
yeah.
job easier.
Dane's gonna deal with the whole necromancy aspect later, but it's
So
time
you're
to
keeping the head.
yeah.
Wait, what? Well,
Gonna-
is this something that we've done before?
I mean, asking the dead questions is definitely something we've done before.
Okay. All right, Meira will go with it then, I guess.
Yeah. So he's definitely going to be asking the head questions later on, but it's been a long night.
Yeah, so might as well just bag the head for later. I understand.
Bag the head for later, so it's gonna go on in the horse's saddlebags.
Great. Sounds good. So Meira, probably under the assumption that they're going to be cleansing the head or something like that, chops the head off, and Dane bags and tags it.
Yeah.
Meira leaves the axe wherever the deed is done, and then she abandons it,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll wash her hands in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a paved pool, and it looks pretty nice. There's quite a bit of travel and scuffing around that show that maybe pilgrims have come here quite a bit in the past. But it's just water, as far as you can tell when you wash your hands clean of the blood, and then that's more or less it. The fire at the inn tries to catch on the palisade, but the wood of the palisade seems to be retardant to some degree, so the fire just burns itself down on the inn over the course of the rest of the night. It's several hours from dawn at this point. You guys have a horse. You could do more looting of the body
Yeah,
of the witch
looting the
outside, and
Garden is important, but Dane's not gonna loot the witch.
okay, Nightblade.
Yeah.
Okay,
Dane's not gonna loot Nightblade or the witch outside. Any
or
of
the
them.
witch outside. Okay,
Dane's not doing that.
Yeah.
Getting some supplies from the garden and getting out of Dodge.
It's a well-stocked
Dane's-
garden, and a lot of the food is edible. So
Yeah.
you managed to secure quite a few days' supplies from it, and it all looks extremely well tended.
Yeah.
Pekka, what do you do?
Did I get my ring back?
You did get your ring back. It's charred, but fine.
Well, she was going to listen for any sounds of if anyone could have survived it there. But
No, at this point, the internal structure of the inn is falling in on itself. If anyone hadn't been killed by the goblins or Nightblade, they would have been killed by the fire by now.
And
You
then
are the only ones living.
She's gonna go pray at the shrine.
Okay. Pega goes to pray at the shrine.
Meira will make a face at Pekome as she passes by. Then she will wait outside.
Quick question: how big is the sword? Is it one-handed or two-handed?
It's a one-handed sword.
Oh yeah, nice. It was made for me.
Although
Don't
that
you do
when I said that, I was wrong. It's
Why
a
are you like-
two-handed sword.
Why you like this, Kevin?
I'm sorry.
You lied to my
I was
face.
like, I said that, and then I was like, wait, two-handed force? What? And then I read more, and I was like, oh, okay.
But can I use it as a one-handed sword? I'm very strong.
I'll get back to you on that. I don't think so, but we'll
just
find
get-
out.
Get a buckler.
Get a buckler. I mean, yeah.
Bucklers literally don't work with my shield ability.
Shit.
Alright, so I will pray for the souls of the inn and those who died and catch up with the others.
All right, great. As you step outside the palisade, the fire is starting to give way just to plumes of smoke. There's not much to see around you anymore. The gray or the darkness of the sky is beginning to turn somewhat lighter, and in the distance you can see the split in twain corpse of Ashfaru lying beside his cauldron. And you've survived another night on the edge of Davokar, and you are welcome to embark on the rest of your assuredly quiet journey to Thistlehold now if you want to leave anything else before you go. Otherwise you're set to travel, and that's where we will adjourn the first session.
Yeah.
Yay!
I have a question about corruption threshold.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you match it?
Oh,
You
great!
gain
That's
one-
awesome. So actually,
Actually,
one thing that I need to point out before we go any further, you have to change your stats. So the all the +2s and -2s that you got, all of your stats, with the exception of Resolute, are 2 below what they normally are, right? So if you had 5 accurate, it will be 3. If you had 15 quick, it will be 13. If it was you had 13 quick, so that'll be 11 right now. It's just a flat -2 penalty to everything as you're coming down from the drug you inhaled while you were fighting Ashfaru.
Stella has what my stats originally were.
Your base stats were? Yeah.
Derived stats, do they change?
Derived stats, I don't know.
See, technically, if they do, B would get 1 permanent point of corruption, hit the threshold, and gain 1d4 points of permanent corruption.
Right, which would
Ending up
potentially and very
Not even
likely turn him
potentially.
into an abomination.
Not even potentially, guaranteed.
Because what's going on?
Well,
I was doing a bunch of math.
so
Yeah.
if you're derived, so actually no, it's not even a derived set. You're dead twice in this session as a character.
If you equal the threshold?
So you got 1, which is your threshold. That's half, right? 1 is half.
Yeah, because I'm at resolute.
And when you hit your threshold, you get 1d4 points of permanent corruption, which means you would get 2 to 5 points of permanent corruption.
Stella, you just had to roll that necromage, didn't you?
Against your...
The only thing that made you go over in corruption was picking up that cursed sword.
So yes, you
Did a lot of
officially
scary things.
die twice this session.
Okay, so you haven't died just because,
Yeah.
it's the first session, and I'd like to make it past 1. However, you are currently blight marked. So let's find the table for that, and you get to choose what that manifests as.
Ooh.
But yeah, if Stella, would you like to wrap us up for the session?
Yeah, sure. Friends, thank you so much for coming to watch us play Symbaroum, a Light in Davokar, run by Obdurant. This is a TTRPG system created by Järnringen, and we will be likely playing this sometime in the future. If you enjoyed this video here, please consider giving the channel a follow. That way you get notifications for when we do run this game. And hopefully we'll have some live sessions next time. Otherwise, we will have offline uploads. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much, Obdurant, for the awesome, super awesome session. Have a wonderful night, guys, and until next time, bye!